Chapter 387. For the next 3 days, the immortal martial domain was shaken greatly. News of the calamity caused by the experts from the 8 desolate lands spread like wildfire. As for the original number 1 expert of the immortal martial domain, Dean, his reputation was completely ruined. His reputation as the number 1 expert of the past thousands of years was instantly reduced to nothing, and he became a hypocrite that everyone in the immortal martial domain despised. On the other hand, Wang Kai, who was originally known as a murderous devil, actually became a hero that everyone praised because of a poem he composed. The number 1 person since ancient times, born in the Fan province, his name is Wang Kai. He didn't fear the pressure of the strong, and didn't fear his infamy spreading to the world. Although he was cursed by everyone in the immortal martial domain as a devil, at the very last moment, he managed to turn the tide and annihilated all the deities from the 8 desolate lands. He even obtained the assistance of the Qilin, and the divine beast Xuanwu transformed into a demonic ox mount, accompanying him by his side. In fact, the majority of the major powers and aristocratic clans all enshrined Wang Kai's portrait. Wang Kai's heroic name spread throughout the immortal martial domain. But on the other hand, peak powers like the Myriad Demon's Palace still had a deep hatred for Wang Kai. Although he saved the immortal martial domain, their hatred for him didn't lessen. Because Wang Kai's strength was too strong, they could only helplessly suppress this hatred in their hearts. Maybe they would never be able to vent this hatred in their entire lives. And now Wang Kai, who was in the star-shifting sea, naturally wasn't aware of the various praises and worship he had for the immortal martial domain. At this moment, Wang Kai was already fully dressed. Looking at the 2 mesmerizing figures lying on the bed, he couldn't help but rub his chin and smile. First, I'll retract my true spirit clone, then bring them back to the Fan province to see my old man. I didn't expect Ben Shao to be so ferocious, battling the 2 of them for 3 days and 3 nights, yet he's still full of energy. I'm afraid it wouldn't be a problem even if he battled for 1,000 years. It's better to let them have a good rest, and when we return to the Fan province, we can fight a few more rounds. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. The reward is 100,000 experience points, 100 bragging points. Congratulations to host for successfully breaking through to the 4th level of the Divine Spirit Realm. Whoosh. Thinking till here, Wang Kai placed his hands behind his back. With a tap of his feet, he left the pavilion, floated out of the Star Luo Sea, and headed straight for the Artifact Region Artifact Divine Mountain. I can't sense the true spirit clone. Wang Kai stepped on the air and flew quickly, but his brows furrowed slightly. He could not help but release his divine soul to cover the area, but when his divine soul reached the Tool God Mountain, he did not find any traces of the true spirit avatar. Prince Jin Duo, the 10 golden dragons, Qing or Feng Tian Nan, Pixiu, Misty Pill Immortal, and Princess Kuan Shui had all disappeared. What the hell happened? Wang Kai frowned, his speed suddenly increased a little, and in a mere hour, he arrived at the location of the Weapon God Mountain. Looking at the empty mountain, especially the huge space formation platform, which had been completely destroyed, Wang Kai was stunned. At the same time, under the Star Luo Sea, in the treasure-gathering pavilion, the Fan Province Empress and her original spirit clone opened their eyes one after another, their brows furrowed in exhaustion. Feeling the pain in their lower body, the scene of Wang Kai tormenting them replayed in their minds. Fuse, this Empress wants to go to the 8 Desolaces, the Fan Province Empress said indifferently. Hearing this, the original spirit clone's beautiful eyes blinked, and Wang Kai's hateful smile involuntarily appeared in her mind. She frowned and hesitated for a moment, then gritted her teeth and said, "The calamity of the immortal martial domain has passed. Have you decided to cultivate the path of heartlessness? If we leave with the Tao, what we cultivate in the future will definitely be the path of heartlessness." Master was able to comprehend the path of love before he left with the Tao. Why can't this Empress? At least after I reach the 8 Desolaces, I will temporarily cultivate the path of love. The Fan Province Empress said indifferently. If you cultivate the path of love to the peak, but you still haven't comprehended any other Taos, do you really want to sever the path of heartlessness? You have hesitated for thousands of years, unwilling to leave with the Tao. Have you really decided today? The Empress clone frowned and asked. The eyes of the Fan Province Empress flickered, and for some reason, Wang Kai's hateful face appeared in her mind. She gritted her teeth and said, I've decided, if I cultivate the path of love to the peak, and this Empress is still unable to comprehend any other Taos, then I will cultivate the path of heartlessness. Okay, then let's go. The Empress clone's brows relaxed. Looking at the motionless door, she sighed inwardly, then transformed into a ray of light and entered the body of the Fan Province Empress. Bzzz. Abruptly, rays of multicolored light flashed around the Fan Province Empress body, and in the end, they transformed into specks of light and gradually disappeared. At this moment, Wang Kai's face was unsightly, and his mind was filled with doubts. No matter how hard he thought, he couldn't find any traces of the true spirit clone and Feng Tianan. He used his divine sense to cover the entire immortal martial domain, but he still couldn't find any traces of them. In addition, the space platform was already broken. It was impossible for him to rely on the platform to travel to the 8 Desolaces. There are no experts in the immortal martial domain that can threaten the true spirit clone. Where did they go? Could it be they used the space platform to travel to the 8 Desolaces? Bastard! If that's the case, when Benshao reaches the 8 Desolaces in the future, he will definitely teach the true spirit clone a lesson. Wang Kai took a deep breath and snorted with an annoyed expression. Plop! As Wang Kai descended from the Star Sea and entered the Endless Treasures Pavilion, there were no traces of the Fan Province Empress and her true spirit clone. After searching the entire Endless Treasures Pavilion, he still couldn't find them. Damn it! Who is going against Benshao? Wang Kai's face was as black as ink. First, the true spirit clone and Feng Tianan disappeared for no reason. Now, even the Fan Province Empress had disappeared. This situation completely made Wang Kai think that someone was playing tricks on him. Brat, there's no need to look anymore. Just now, Lord Cat has already seen the space platform of the Divine Tool Mountain. Someone must have attracted the heavenly tribulation there, causing the space platform to be activated. The person has already reached the 8 Desolaces. The space platform being broken must be because the number of times it can be used has reached its limit. Inside the Heaven Connecting Tower, Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and said. Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. His annoyance grew even stronger. He couldn't help but secretly regret releasing the true spirit clone. That despicable true spirit clone clearly knows that the heavenly tribulation can activate the space platform, but he still wants Prince Jinduo and the others to break through there. Is he trying to avoid Benshao? This is for you to be awesome. When Benshao steps into the 8 Desolaces, you can forget about coming out for the rest of your life. Wang Kai sneered fiercely. The true spirit clone couldn't obtain the system's help. This was already known when Wang Kai released it for the first time. Bragging could be rewarded, but the true spirit clone didn't. This also proved that even if the true spirit clone reached the 8 Desolaces, it would only be at the transcendent realm. Unless it merged with the main body and released again, it would reach the same level as the main body. But a mere transcendent realm cultivator could be invincible in the immortal martial domain, but in the 8 Desolaces, true spirit clone, you better not lose face for Benshao in the 8 Desolaces. If you cause Benshao to lose face before Benshao goes to the 8 Desolaces, you can just wait to be beaten up. Wang Kai snorted with a dark expression. Inside the Heaven Connecting Tower, Lord Cat's eyes bulged when he heard this. he said with a startled expression. Brat, what you really care about is face. Chapter 388. Of course. How could a supreme expert like Ben Shao, who can dominate the world and sweep the universe, lose face in a mere 8 desolates? Wang Kai snorted with disdain. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching the 5th grade Divine Spirit realm. Lord Cat was speechless. He stroked his long beard and didn't want to talk to Wang Kai anymore. Now that the space array is broken, the only way to reach the 8 desolates is through the endless sea. Sigh, sometimes being too awesome isn't a good thing. For example, Ben Shao couldn't reach the Dao transformation stage, but he could reach the divine stage. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching the 6th grade Divine Spirit realm. Inside the Heaven Connecting Tower, Lord Cat grinned and said, Passing through the endless sea to reach the 8 desolates? TSK, it'll take at least 2 years. The Empress of the Fan Province has probably reached the 8 desolates by now. If you meet her again in 2 years, you'll be alone. 2 years? How long would it take to reach the 8 desolates? The Empress of the Fan Province had also gone to the 8 desolates? Could it be that she had reached the Dao transformation stage? Wang Kai was startled, then his face darkened. He gritted his teeth and sneered. True spirit doppelganger, you've done well. Before Ben Shao reaches the 8 desolates, you'd better not be killed by others. Otherwise, where will Ben Shao go to teach you a lesson? Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai moved his feet and floated out of the pavilion. He raised his head and looked at the endless treasures pavilion in front of him. He raised his hand and was about to destroy it, but he stopped halfway. Forget it. No matter what, this is the place where Ben Shao and the Empress consummated their marriage. It's better to leave it here. With that array, it'll be hard for others to find it, let alone spy on it. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed, then floated out of the Star Sea. They headed straight for Fan Province. Divine Martial Dynasty, Imperial City. The moon hung high in the night sky, and the city was filled with red lights and green willows. Inside the white jade tower, it was bustling with noise and excitement. It could be said to be the most lively place in Monarch City. On the 3rd floor, there were still only 2 tables, with a few young men and women sitting at each table. The 3 people sitting at the table to the left were Wang Shang and Wan Kong of the Divine Martial Dynasty, Wan Zhe, the Crown Prince of the Heavenly King clan, and Yuan Hao from the Prime Minister residence. On the right, there were 2 beautiful women with charming temperament. One of them was none other than Miao Yin, who was wearing an explosive and seductive figure. The woman beside her was wearing a purple dress. Her face was covered by a purple veil, so her face could not be seen. Only a pair of clear eyes could be seen. In addition to the purple flower between her eyebrows, she was even more enchanting. Haha, instead of being your puppet in the palace, Wang Shang has the time to come to the White Jade Tower to have fun. I'm impressed. Wang Shang sneered with a disdainful expression. Wan Kong glanced at him indifferently, then raised a cup of wine and downed it. He snorted coldly. So what if you're a puppet, Wang Shang? At least I have people to kneel before me and servants to order me around. You, on the other hand, are just a defeated prince who can be casually insulted by commoners. Smack. As soon as this was said, Wan Zhe was infuriated. He slammed the table and shouted, Wan Kong, don't think that you can insult this king just because you saved his life. Since you know you can live without being a beggar on the streets, you should thank me for pleading with Grand Marshal Wang. Wan Kong snorted coldly. You. Wan Zhe was so angry that his face paled. Back then, He had secretly escaped from the battlefield and luckily survived. He had thought that he could use this opportunity to escape Fan Province, but in the end, he was still captured by the marshal's residence. Although he was able to live because of Wan Kong's pleading and was given the title of prince with an annual salary, a title was just a title. He could live and live freely, but he had to suffer the scorn of the world. Wanja had nowhere to vent his anger. He even began to resent Wan Kong. If it weren't for his pleading, he wouldn't have been reduced to this state where he was cursed by everyone. He wanted to die, but he didn't have the guts to do it. He wanted to live, but he had to live with humiliation. Wanja couldn't speak of his suffering. There's no need for you two to argue. Back then, I was rescued by the Empress of Fanzhou. Although I left Fanzhou to work for the Endless Treasures Pavilion in Wuzhou and had my brother, the Holy Son of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, in the end, my brother was still. Sigh, isn't he still forced to come back and drag out an ignoble existence? Yuan Hao took a sip of wine and sighed helplessly. Wan Kong and Wanja sighed again and again. They had heard of Wang Kai's deeds outside of Fan Province from Yuan Hao. Although it was only before Yuan Batian was killed by Wang Kai, it was enough to leave them in the dust. I wonder what level Wang Kai has reached now? Wanja's expression was filled with unwillingness. He channeled his jealousy into his drinking capacity and downed cup after cup without saying another word. Yuan Hao and Wan Kong were the same. Wang Kai was the cause of their current situation. If they had known that Wang Kai would have such accomplishments, they wouldn't have chosen to provoke him. I didn't expect Wang Kai to have such wonderful deeds in Fan Province. Miao Yin squinted her beautiful eyes, a strange expression on her face. Beside her, the holy daughter's gaze was indifferent. She said indifferently, "It seems that Wang Kai was really despicable back then. He's not any less despicable than he was in the immortal martial domain. He caused these three men to be so dejected and have no fighting spirit. Miao Yin feels that it's not bad. At least we don't have to kill some annoying flies." Miao Yin covered her face and laughed softly. Women like Miao Yin and Ling Xian would naturally cause a commotion and be pursued wherever they went. However, the three young men sitting in this private room didn't even have that intention. From this, it could be seen how great of an impact Wang Kai had on them. Why hasn't Li Lingxian come out yet? After listening to her play a song, I'll have to go back and review the memorials. Wan Kong shook his head and sighed. Yuan Hao and Wanja had the same thought. In their current situation, the only place where they could pass the time and not attract strange gazes was the White Jade Pavilion. After all, even if they only had titles, they were still the few people in Royal City who could enter the third floor. Li Lingxian. This saintess wants to see what you've been up to in the Fan Prefecture. If you've lost your chastity, don't blame me for being merciless. Killing intent flashed through the holy daughter's eyes. She followed Miao Yin to Fan Province and pretended to help her obtain Wang Kai. Her true goal was to investigate the location of Li Lingxian that Wang Kai had mentioned. Now that she was in Fan Province, she could naturally sense it. However, she wasn't sure if Li Lingxian was still a virgin. If she wasn't, she would lose her chastity once they fused. Chapter 389. Haha, I've kept you waiting. Clatter. The window suddenly opened, and Li Lingxian floated in with a purple veil around her body. She was extremely beautiful and seductive, and her figure was so exquisite that it was as if she had no bones. As soon as she entered, she landed in the center of the two tables. She took out her zither and was about to play when she looked at the holy maiden with confusion in her eyes. "Have we met somewhere before?" Li Lingxian asked with a smile in surprise. She didn't know why, but she had been greatly affected recently. Especially when she was facing the woman in front of her now, the fluctuations in her heart became increasingly difficult to suppress. It was as if the two of them were connected by blood. It was extremely strange. However, before the holy maiden could speak, a cold light flashed in Miao Yin's beautiful eyes. She quickly stood up, grabbed Li Lingxian's arm, and pulled her back a few steps. "Miss, you." Li Lingxian's eyes were filled with shock. She wanted to struggle, but she couldn't resist at all. However, when she saw Miao Yin shielding herself behind her and staring at the veiled woman with a guarded expression, she came to a realization. This action naturally alarmed Wan Kong and the others. The three of them looked at each other and stood up together, looking at them with confusion. "Holy Maiden," Miao Yin felt that something was wrong at first. "Why is your name the same as the top hostess of the White Jade Tower? I didn't expect that even your appearances are so similar. She must be your second original soul clone, right?" Miao Yin's pretty face darkened, and she questioned in an unfriendly tone. If she still hadn't realized that she had been tricked by now, she would be an idiot. At the same time, Miao Yin hated herself. She originally wanted to come to Fan Province, where Wang Kai came from, and fight for the advantage of being the first to enter the Wang family's door to completely obtain Wang Kai. But who would have thought that the Holy Maiden, who was supposed to help her, would be a disaster? If it weren't for the fact that the Holy Maiden was at the Immortal Emperor realm and came along with her to ensure her safety, why would Miao Yin agree to join forces with her? Second original soul clone? Li Lingxian was instantly confused. Wan Kong and the others were even more confused. Even Yuan Hao, who had been to the Immortal Martial Domain, couldn't figure it out. Looks like she's still a virgin. You're right. She is indeed my second original soul clone. If I fuse with her, I can transform into Dao and leave," Li Lingxian said with a faint smile. Whoosh! When these words were spoken, Miao Yin's eyes immediately turned cold. She threatened in an icy voice, "So that's why you lied to Miao Yin, saying that you wanted to come to Fan Province to look around? Aren't you afraid that Wang Kai will seek revenge?" "Wang Kai? Is Wang Kai okay now?" Li Lingxian's beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light, and she looked at Sweet Sound expectantly. Whoosh! This scene caused Miao Yin's pretty face to stiffen. Especially when she saw Li Lingxian's impulsive and expectant appearance, her heart violently beat a few times. "Why do I suddenly, Miao Yin? If I save her, wouldn't I be saving a love rival? Or a love rival who came from the same Fan Province as Wang Kai?" Thinking of this, Miao Yin's expression changed, and her eyes flickered. "Haha, little sister Miao Yin, ever since we came to Fan Province from the Immortal Martial Domain, I like you very much and don't want to hurt you. So, please step aside. As long as I merge her back into my original body, I will help you completely control Wang Kai before I transform into the Dao." The Holy Maiden smiled faintly. "Pata." Hearing this, even Yuan Hao and the others understood what was going on. These two girls weren't from Fan Province, but from the Immortal Martial Domain. And it was to deal with Li Lingxian. "No. Miao Yin won't let you hurt her." Miao Yin suddenly gritted her teeth, as if she had made an important decision. From Miao Yin's point of view, even if she saved a love rival, she couldn't anger Wang Kai. Otherwise, with Wang Kai's style in the Immortal Martial Domain, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Haha, little sister Miao Yin, can't you see? Wang Kai behaved atrociously in the Misty Mountain Range, and it's his fortune to be able to survive. However, Di Yin of the Sovereign Dao sect and the other immortal emperors didn't die. He might have already fallen, right?" The Holy Maiden smiled faintly. Swoosh! As her voice faded, the expressions of Wan Kong and the others changed. They exclaimed, "You're saying that Wang Kai is already dead?" "Shut up. Wang Kai's ability isn't something you can guess. Even if the Immortal Martial Domain is destroyed, he won't die." Miao Yin reprimanded harshly. Li Lingxian's expression was also extremely cold. She coldly snorted, "Wan Kong, Wanja, Yuan Hao, it seems like Lingxian needs to meet Grand Marshal Wang." The expressions of Wan Kong and the others froze. They exchanged glances and felt uneasy in their hearts. Haha, I heard you guys talking about how despicable Wang Kai is. Why don't you guys help this holy maiden capture Li Lingxian? After that, this holy maiden will help you guys unify the Fan Prefecture. How about it? The holy maiden smiled faintly. Unify the Fan Prefecture? Wan Kong and Wan Zhe's expressions hardened. Even their breathing quickened. Coming from the immortal martial domain and calling herself the Holy Maiden, she definitely wasn't weak. If they had her help, wouldn't they be able to succeed? However, they couldn't confirm whether Wang Kai was dead or not. At this moment, they didn't dare to make a decision. On the other hand, Yuan Hao calmly glanced at the two of them. He stood in front of Miao Yin and Li Lingxian and said, I believe that Wang Kai isn't dead. Although I have my own motives for doing this, I still want to stand on Li Lingxian's side. Haha, Wang Kai is dead for sure. This holy maiden can guarantee this with my life. Even if he isn't dead, with this holy maiden's Yuan spirit clone, there's no need to fear him. The holy maiden smiled faintly. Looking at her relaxed appearance, Wan Kong and Wan Zhe exchanged glances. Their eyes were red as they breathed heavily. They gritted their teeth and said, We'll help you. Swoosh, swoosh. In an instant, Wan Kong and Wan Zhe stood beside the holy maiden. They circulated their battle chi and glared fiercely at Yuan Hao. Even if Wang Kai really wasn't dead, they definitely wouldn't regret it. After all, rather than being looked down upon and living an ignoble existence, they might as well give it their all. Moreover, based on the holy maiden's demeanor, it seemed like victory was already in her grasp. Ha ha ha, holy maiden, even if you were originally at the immortal emperor realm, we're all martial kings in the Fan Prefecture. We still don't know who's stronger and who's weaker. Miao Yin laughed coquettishly as she covered her face. Her eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Li Lingxian also came to a realization. She swayed her body and laughed coquettishly as she looked outside the window. Master, someone wants to do something to Lingxian. Whoosh! As soon as she finished speaking, a middle-aged man in a white robe floated into the third floor of the White Jade Tower. He sat down and looked at the holy maiden indifferently. He calmly said, Lingxian has been adopted by this emperor since she was young. For more than 10 years now, I've treated her as my own. If you want to hurt her, you'll have to pay with your life. What are you doing? Could it be that you're holding a martial arts competition? TSK, even little Miss Miao Yin is here. How can Ben Shao not be here? Come. Count Ben Shao in. Suddenly, as a rather lazy soft laughter was transmitted into the pavilion, it immediately caused the expressions of the few people to change drastically. Such a tone, such an address, Wang Kai. Wan Kong and Wan Zhe exclaimed in unison. Their bodies couldn't help but tremble. Top Quality Bragging System, QQ Discussion Group, 3260775524. Welcome fellow Taoists to join the group. Thank you all for your support and love. Chapter 390. Thud. Just as everyone was staring at the entrance to the third level, the sound of someone knocking on the table rang out. Everyone's hearts skipped a beat, and they turned their heads abruptly. Only then did they realize that Wang Kai was already sitting in front of the table. Your cultivation level is not suppressed, the spirit celestial saintess said in a low voice with a frown on her pretty face. No one present could figure out how Wang Kai had entered. There was no trace of him at all. Due to the seal on Fan State, he should only be a martial king. No matter how strong he was before, he should be at the same cultivation level as everyone else. Since that was the case, why couldn't they figure out Wang Kai's movements? Wang Kai crossed his legs and leaned against the chair with one hand resting on it. His other hand was on the table as he tapped his fingers lightly. His casual appearance caused the spirit celestial saintess's eyes to darken. Wan Zhe and Wan Kong's hearts pounded uncontrollably. Their bodies trembled as if they had gone mad. If they still couldn't figure out that Wang Kai's cultivation level had already surpassed the spirit celestial saintess, then wouldn't Wan Kong and Wan Zhe be idiots? Thud. Wan Kong immediately knelt on the ground. His face was deathly pale, and he said in a trembling voice, Wang Kai, please don't misunderstand. Just now, I only wanted to deceive this spirit celestial saintess to save Li Lingxian. I didn't mean to harm them. Thud. Thud thud thud. Wan Zhe also hurriedly knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. He said in a trembling voice, That's right. I had the same intention. Humph, shameless. No wonder you're worse than a human even after surviving. This scene immediately caused Li Lingxian and Miao Yin to be filled with disdain. Their beautiful eyes were filled with mockery. What did you say? Join forces with the spirit celestial saintess? And you want to deal with Li Lingxian and little Miss Miao Yin? Wang Kai's eyes widened as he looked at them in shock. Whoosh! Wan Kong and Wan Zhe were both stunned when they heard this. They looked at Wang Kai in disbelief. Could it be that he didn't know? Then just now he actually confessed on his own? This idiot! Scram! Seeing this, the spirit celestial saintess was extremely disdainful. She immediately waved her jade-like hand and sent Wan Kong and Wan Zhe flying out of the window of the third floor while vomiting blood. Isn't that Wang Shang? Heavens! That idiot Wan Zhe is also here? They were actually thrown out of the White Jade Tower together. No! They're already dead. Oh, he deserved to die. After a couple of exclamations sounded, the place quickly regained its calm. Everyone who saw Wan Kong and Wan Zhe, who were lying on the ground without any signs of life, chose to coldly ignore them. From this, it could be seen how terrible their reputation was in the divine martial empire. Sigh, what a pity. Ben Shao wanted to play with them. Wang Kai shrugged as he shook his head and smiled, pretending to be regretful. Hee. Miao Yin covered her face and laughed. She swayed her enchanting and explosive body as she walked in front of Wang Kai. Without a word, she threw herself into Wang Kai's embrace. Long time no see, husband. Miao Yin's beautiful eyes were half closed as she called out in an extremely seductive voice. Such a sweet voice and attitude immediately caused Wang Kai to raise his eyebrows. With a flip of his hand, he hugged her and turned to look at Li Lingxian. With a playful smile, he said, Do you want to come as well? Li Lingxian's pretty face was extremely ugly. She intentionally imitated Wang Kai's tone and fiercely rebuked, Come my ass! Especially when she saw Miao Yin's arms wrapped around Wang Kai's neck. Their lovey-dovey appearance made Li Lingxian even angrier. At first, she was pleasantly surprised to see Wang Kai. However, the surprise came and went quickly. Wang Kai's face darkened when he heard this. He definitely didn't expect her to suddenly say such a thing. With a disdainful expression, he curled his lips and coldly snorted, You obviously want to throw yourself into Ben Shao's embrace, but you're pretending to be reserved. Sigh, women nowadays are too pretentious. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th stage Divine Spirit Realm. Hearing this, Li Lingxian's beautiful eyes flashed with anger. She laughed with extreme disdain and said, Wang Kai, your shameless bragging skills are getting better and better. Whoosh! Suddenly, the spirit fairy saintess's eyes turned cold. Her figure flashed as she raised her jade-like hand and grabbed Li Lingxian's shoulder. Impudent! Bang! War Lu Baiyu's expression changed when she saw this. She raised her hand and collided with the saintess' palm. However, even though they were both martial kings, there was still a huge gap between them. Lu Baiyu's figure was directly pushed back by more than 10 steps, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Li Clan's spirit fairy saintess, do you want to die? Wang Kai said indifferently as he looked at her with a dark gaze. Whoosh! The Saintess, who was about to seize the opportunity to capture Li Lingxian, froze when she heard this. Her jade-like hand happened to stop above Li Lingxian's shoulder, but no matter what, she couldn't land it. You're indeed not suppressed. Your realm is above the immortal Emperor realm. The Saintess cried out in shock. An indescribable sense of despair rose from the bottom of her heart. Above the immortal Emperor realm? Didn't that mean that he had surpassed the strongest realm in the immortal martial domain? Lu Baiyu and Li Lingxian both came from the immortal martial domain, so they naturally knew what the realm above the immortal Emperor realm meant. When they heard this, they both felt disbelief. Even though they knew that Wang Kai was strong, they definitely didn't expect him to be so strong. Don't think that you can reach the level of invincibility in the immortal martial domain just by fusing with Li Lingxian's skin. Benxiao's current realm is something that even those in the divine Tao realm have to look up to. Wang Kai shrugged and said indifferently. However, his hand was mischievously rubbing Miao Yin's buttocks. Feeling the hot hand on her buttocks, Miao Yin's beautiful eyes blurred. Her beautiful face blushed slightly, and her grip on Wang Kai became even tighter. What do you want? The Saintess' face was extremely pale. She slowly retracted her hand and stood on the spot cautiously. She didn't dare to move at all. If she had known that Wang Kai was so capable, why would she have come to Fan Province and walked right into his trap? When Wang Kai heard this, he glanced at her indifferently. Then, he looked at Li Lingxian and said with a mocking smile, "Didn't you want to fuse with her very much? Then let Li Lingxian be the main body, and you'll be the support. From now on, you'll be the foundation of her cultivation." Swoosh! As soon as he said this, the Saintess' expression changed. She scolded in a delicate voice, "Impossible! This Saintess would rather die than compromise. Moreover, the second primordial spirit clone has never been able to deprive the main body of its ability. Don't be delusional. If Benxiao says it's possible, then it's possible. Everything in the world that is impossible can become possible with Benxiao. If you ask why, there's only one answer. Benxiao is awesome." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th stage Divine Spirit Realm." Chapter 391. Hee, Holy Sun Wang, you're really good at bragging. Very well, let me see what you're capable of. The Spirit Celestial Saintess sneered disdainfully. As soon as she finished speaking, she sat opposite Wang Kai. Her beautiful eyes stared straight at Wang Kai. If it weren't for the strong sense of mockery in her eyes, Wang Kai would have thought that she was trying to seduce him. Turn her into the martial foundation of the second primordial spirit doppelganger, Li Lingxian, Wang Kai said in his mind. Host, if you want the doppelganger to control the main body must first merge with the doppelganger and consume 10 bragging points to complete the process. After hearing the notification, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. He couldn't help but look at Li Lingxian. He waved his hand and said with a smile, "Come here and let her merge with you." Whoosh! As soon as he said that, everyone's expressions changed. The Spirit Celestial Saintess's eyes shone brightly, and her heart thumped non-stop. "Wang Kai, don't mess around." Lu Baiyu scolded coldly. Miao Yin also reminded him, "Husband, if she succeeds in merging with you, with her current Celestial Emperor realm, if she disintegrates and leaves, don't worry. Li Lingxian, Benxiao only wants to ask you, do you believe in Benxiao?" Wang Kai waved his hand and looked at Li Lingxian. Li Lingxian hesitated. She looked at Lu Baiyu, who was shaking her head, and then at the Spirit Celestial Saintess. Finally, she looked at Miao Yin, who was hugging Wang Kai. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth, pursed her lips, and said, "Lingxian is willing to try." Whoosh! As Li Lingxian walked firmly to the spirit celestial saintess side, Wang Kai gestured with his hand and said with a smile, "Come, you're welcome to try it." "You shameless!" Li Lingxian angrily glared at him and scolded. "One." The spirit immortal saintess did not hesitate at all. She raised her hand and pressed it on Li Lingxian's shoulder with an excited expression. Then, Li Lingxian's body turned into specks of light and merged into the spirit immortal saintess body. Boom! Suddenly, the holy maiden's aura rose rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it broke through the Fan State's seal and surpassed the female empress of the Fan State's pinnacle immortal emperor stage. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly as he sensed the aura and cultivation of the divine Tao realm. He raised his arm and pointed at her as he said with a faint smile, "Since you look down on Benshao like this, you're destined to be finished." Kakik, Wang Kai, "Oh Wang Kai, you are the stupidest man this saintess has ever seen. See you in the 8 desolations." The holy maiden covered her face and giggled. Her body gradually turned into specks of light, and she was about to leave. Let her primordial spirit doppelganger take control of the body, Wang Kai urged. Congratulations to the host for successfully seizing control of a divine Tao realm expert. 10 bragging points have been consumed. Buzz. Suddenly, a golden light surrounded the specks of light that the holy maiden had turned into. She was sealed in a golden halo, unable to dissipate and leave. Under the restriction of the golden halo, the specks of light once again condensed into the holy maiden's body. Just like that, she was bound by the golden halo and could not move at all. No. The holy maiden's beautiful eyes widened, and panic and despair finally appeared in her heart. Only now did she understand that Wang Kai was not bragging. He really had that ability. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, the holy maiden's face twisted. Her temperament alternated between pure and seductive. This cycle repeated more than 10 times before she completely calmed down. Kiki, what a powerful cultivation! Miao Yin, if you want to get Wang Kai, you have to pass the holy maiden stage first. Li Lingxian laughed charmingly. Swoosh! Hearing her words, everyone was speechless. They never thought that the reason she finally decided to try was to compete with Miao Yin for Wang Kai. However, Wang Kai was quite satisfied after hearing that. He nodded approvingly and said with a smile, "You're not bad. You have good taste. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 9th stage Divine Spirit Realm." "Husband," suddenly, Miao Yin called out coquettishly. She raised her head and took the initiative to give him a kiss. Patter. At this moment, Wang Kai was already immersed in the beauty of the kiss. The golden halo gradually dissipated, causing Li Lingxian's body to turn into specks of light and dissipate in the white jade tower. "Bastard Miao Yin, you're shameless." As the specks of light that Li Lingxian had turned into completely dissipated, only her angry curses were left. You want to compete with Miao Yin? This little girl is too inexperienced." Miao Yin sneered disdainfully in her heart. "Lingxian has already turned into the way and left. My master is still at the great emperor realm. Sigh, it's true that talent and luck cannot be compared." Lu Baiyu shook her head and sighed. Then, she turned into a ray of light and flew out of the window. After their lips parted, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at Miao Yin playfully. He stretched out his finger and lifted her chin. With a mocking smile, he said, "Actually, you don't have to do this. She has merged into one and turned into the way. Benshao won't stop it." "Hee Miao Yin, it's not because of that. I just suddenly really want to. Miao Yin's pretty face was red. Before she could finish her sentence, Wang Kai picked her up in his arms. "Yuan Hao, let's forget about our grudges. Prepare to ascend to the throne and become Wang Shang of the Dafan Empire," Wang Kai said with a faint smile. With that, he carried Miao Yin and flew out of the White Jade Hotel. Yuan Hao was the only one left. Wang Kai's words kept echoing in his mind, and he was unable to recover for a long time. The Wang Shang of the Dafan Empire was not the divine martial empire. He's not joking, right? Yuan Hao swallowed dryly. In the blink of an eye, he ran down the White Jade Hotel in ecstasy and went straight to the Grand Chancellor's residence. At the same time, in the Marshal's residence, Wang Kai floated down from the sky with Miao Yin in his arms. Just as he was about to find a room to indulge in ecstasy, he was stopped by a playful voice. "Young master, after returning to Fan Province, you didn't return to the residence to greet the old master. Instead, you went to the White Jade Hotel and even brought back a girl. Looks like your wings have hardened and your courage has grown. Uncle Fu. F***ck. He just had to be caught red-handed at this critical juncture. Wang Kai was startled when he heard this. He quickly put Miao Yin down and looked at an old man standing in the courtyard. Immediately, he walked up to him with a solemn expression and bowed with cupped fist. "Uncle Fu, long time no see. Kai is back." Uncle Fu was the old housekeeper of the Marshal's residence. Even though Wang Kai did not belong to this body, due to his memories, he was still unusually respectful to him. It could be said that the two family members he cared about the most in this world were the old man and Uncle Fu. Yes, the Eight Desolates is not an ordinary place. Go and meet the old master. Uncle Fu nodded lightly and smiled with relief. QQ Discussion Group 3260775524. Yesterday, a 4 was missing, so many of you could not find the group. Sorry, thank you for your support and love. Come and join the group. Chapter 392. Uncle Fu actually knew about the 8 Desolates? And from the looks of it, it seemed like he also knew that he would be heading to the 8 Desolates soon? Wang Kai's brows twitched. He couldn't help but sense Uncle Fu's cultivation realm. After discovering that it was indeed at the Emperor realm, he was even more surprised. Young master, this old servant's body is no longer the same as before. It's better if you don't pry into it. A few days ago, some experts from the immortal martial domain came. This old servant is already exhausted from dealing with them. Uncle Fu shook his head and smiled, waving his hand as he left. Looking at Uncle Fu's back, Wang Kai frowned. Why did it sound like Uncle Fu's words implied that he used to be very powerful? Moreover, a few days ago, some experts from the immortal martial domain came to the Fan Prefecture. It should be those weaklings from the 8 Desolates, right? Those in the Divine Tao realm are all at Mount Supreme. The rest are all immortal emperors and immortal emperors. Even if they came to the Fan Prefecture, they would only be martial kings. Wang Kai shrugged. He really couldn't think of a reason. However, even if those immortal emperors and immortal emperors were sealed in the Fan Prefecture and suppressed to the martial king realm, their combat strength was definitely not ordinary. After all, they came from the 8 Desolate. For Uncle Fu and the others to be able to defeat those experts from the 8 Desolates, it was impossible if they weren't strong enough. From this, it could be seen that Uncle Fu wasn't as simple as an Emperor Realm expert. Yet, his cultivation realm was at the Emperor Realm. This made Wang Kai confused for a moment, so he simply ignored it. In a study of the Marshal's mansion, the old man was sitting in front of a chair with a candle in his hand. He was looking at a painting on the table, lost in thought. Because the door to the study wasn't closed, and Wang Kai's personality wasn't fond of knocking, he immediately walked in with his hands behind his back. Seeing the old man in a daze, his brows twitched. Old man, could it be that you're lonely and cold at night and need an old companion? Pada! Wang Kai hadn't even finished speaking when he saw the eyes of the old man glaring at him. He slammed his palm onto the table as he coldly snorted, "Little brat, how arrogant are you in the immortal martial realm? I'm just SOSO. As a member of the Wang clan, as well as someone from the 8 Desolaces, how can I lose my reputation in the immortal martial realm? Wang Kai shrugged as a faint smile appeared on his face. The old man was slightly startled when he heard this. After a long while, he shook his head and sighed. He slowly closed the scroll and pushed it forward. He faintly said, "Take it. When you reach the 8 Desolates, you can go to the Central Wasteland Celestial Court and give this painting to the Central Wasteland Celestial Emperor." 8 Desolates, Central Baron Celestial Court, Central Baron Celestial Emperor? Wang Kai was stunned. He couldn't help but take a few steps forward. He wanted to unfold the scroll, but just as he reached out, the old man waved his hand and pushed it aside. "You can't look at this painting without seeing the Central Wilderness Celestial Emperor," the old man warned with a solemn expression. Old man, what the hell are you doing? Could it be that this painting is your heroic figure back then? Or is it a great beauty? Hee, it can't be the Central Wasteland Celestial Emperor, right? Wang Kai winked and laughed. That's right. The Central Wasteland Celestial Emperor is indeed a woman. She is also the person who pushed my Wang clan into the abyss. If you really want to step into the 8 Desolates this time, you must not lose face for the Wang clan. The old man sneered in a low tone. Hiss, hiss. When Wang Kai saw this, he suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. It was really rare to see the old man so serious and full of murderous intent, especially now, but thinking about it, Wang Kai's face darkened. He pointed at the painting on the table and complained with dissatisfaction, "Old man, if the Central Wasteland Celestial Emperor is a woman, then so be it. But why does it sound like she has a great enmity with my Wang clan? This, asking me to go over, isn't that walking into a trap? Not to mention how powerful the Central Wasteland Celestial Emperor was, just based on the Central Wasteland Celestial Court and the reputation of the Celestial Emperor, she was definitely not weak. It was not that Wang Kai was afraid of her. The key point was that he was not willing to go over and get beaten up if he could not defeat her. Is there anyone in this world that you are afraid of? The old man squinted his eyes and asked with a playful smile. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and shrugged. He smiled indifferently and said, "Of course not. Only others are afraid of me. Why should I be afraid of others? Not to mention the Central Wasteland Celestial Emperor, if she dares to act tough in front of me, I will also strip her naked and ruthlessly, cough cough, ruthlessly beat her up." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the first stage Divine Emperor realm. If you have the ability, then do as you wish. However, you have to know that my Wang clan was a supreme family in the 8 Desolate. The foundation of our standing was not based on our physique, but on our bloodline. My Wang clan's unique sky-burning blood. The old man said proudly. Sky-burning blood? Why did it sound so familiar? Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. He pondered for a while before coming to a sudden realization. He could not help but exclaim in surprise, "The burning sky flame, the 7th-ranked mysterious flame. Could it be related to the burning sky blood?" He had heard from Bai Yanyan that the sky-burning flame was the natural enemy of all things. It could even burn space. It was the most ferocious and evil flame. However, no one in the immortal martial domain had it. He only had the 9 serenities: cold flame, devil thought flame, immortal god flame, formless flame, reincarnation flame, and his own dustless flame. The 4th strange flame was the sky profound heavy flame. With just a little flame, it could destroy mountains. The 5th was the grand sun withering flame. It was the heaviest flame. Its temperature was comparable to the sun. Once it appeared, as long as one was within 1,000 miles of it, they would definitely turn into ashes. The last one was the 7th strange flame, the sky-burning flame. That's right, the wondrous fire is a fire unique to the immortal martial realm. Back then, my Wang clan originated from the Fan Prefecture. After that, we transformed into the Tao and established our name in the 8 Desolaces, establishing a supreme clan. Back then, the founder of our Wang clan had the sky incinerating flame, and after he died, he passed down the sky incinerating flame through his bloodline. As long as the blood of our Wang clan flows in their veins, they would definitely possess the sky incinerating flame. The old man proudly spoke. The old man said proudly, passing down the strange flame through the bloodline that allowed everyone in the Wang clan to have the sky burning flame? Will it be suppressed by the higher level of the strange flame? Wang Kai frowned and asked curiously. Hearing this, the old man snorted coldly and said, "Of course not. Being the controller of the mystical flame is just a beginner. Turning it into a bloodline and completely under the control of the host is the highest level. As for who is stronger and who is weaker, it depends on the level of the bloodline transformed from the mystical flame. It was actually not suppressed by the strange flame. Then what if his own dustless flame was also transformed into the bloodline? At that time, would he still be able to suppress the bloodline transformed from the strange flame?" Thinking of this, Wang Kai couldn't help but shrug his shoulders. He casually smiled and said, "In that case, the reason why the Wang clan came to the immortal martial domain and then moved to the Fan Prefecture until now was all because of the so-called Heaven Emperor of the Central Desolaces?" "That's right. However, only our clan moved back to the Fan Prefecture. In the 8 Desolaces, the Wang clan still exists. However, they are all branch clans. If it wasn't for the fact that you secretly cultivated the Tao, I really wouldn't have allowed you to cultivate. Oh well, since things have already come to this, do your best," the old man faintly said. Chapter 393. No wonder in his memories, the old man had never urged him on the matter of martial cultivation. The reason was actually this. The Wang family in the 8 Desolations? According to the old man, the Wang family in the 8 Desolations were all branches, while the Wang family in the Fan province was the main branch. Since the main branch had left the 8 Desolations, the branches were still there. The reason for this was hard to imagine. Wang Kai shrugged. He didn't pay too much attention to this. Instead, he was curious about the sky-burning blood that the Wang family possessed. He had the sky-burning bloodline, but he didn't know about it. "What's your decision about the Lu family's daughter, Lu Yao?" the old man asked. Lu Yao. Could it be that the old man even knew about what happened in Mount Supreme? Wang Kai frowned slightly when he heard this. He really didn't want to talk about her. He shrugged and casually said, "Let nature take its course." Let nature take its course? Didn't you say that you were going to capture Lu Yao and bring her back to the bridal chamber to marry her? Why are you scared now? The old man snorted in disdain. Scared? Hearing this, Wang Kai's face suddenly became serious. He waved his arms heroically and said proudly, "Women, sometimes you should teach them a lesson. Otherwise, wouldn't it make this young master lose face? Moreover, as long as Ben Shao is willing, Lu Yao will definitely take the initiative to marry Ben Shao." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the second-rank Divine Emperor realm. Hearing the prompt, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. Especially after seeing the disdainful look of the old man, he became even more annoyed. He immediately snorted and said, "Before rushing to the 8 Desolations, I will go and see her. I don't believe that I can't get Lu Yao. There's no need for that. Lu Yao has already returned to the Fan province with her parents. Right now, she's in the Imperial Tutor's residence. If you have the ability, you can bring her back to the bridal room now," the old man said with disdain. Wang Kai's face immediately stiffened when he heard that. He rubbed his nose in shock and said speechlessly, "Old man, you're the Grand Marshal of the Martial Divine Empire. Why would you encourage me to kidnap a civilian girl?" If you have the ability, then it's not robbery." The old man snorted coldly. F***K. She really couldn't tell that the old man was quite open-minded. Wang Kai grinned with a strange expression. Then, his face turned serious and he pretended to say in a low voice, "Old man, just you wait and see." Whoosh. With that, Wang Kai turned around and left. Just as he was about to head to the imperial tutor's residence for a night attack, he was stopped by Miao Yin when he reached the courtyard. "Husband," Miao Yin called out in a tired voice. She swayed her sexy body, coming to Wang Kai and throwing herself into his arms. Feeling the two round things in front of his chest, Wang Kai's blood began to boil. "Sai, your grandson is useless." Just as Wang Kai was about to have a big fight with Miao Yin, he heard the old man's sorrowful sigh coming from the study. "Husband, let's go and rest. We still have to pay our respects to grandfather tomorrow." Miao Yin's beautiful eyes wandered as she said with a slightly red face. In particular, her jade-like hand was touching Wang Kai's chest, making it hard for him to control himself. However, thinking about the old man's disdainful look, Wang Kai could only grit his teeth and endure. He gently pushed Miao Yin away and pretended to be domineering as he said, "Go to the room and wash up first. Ben Shao is going out." "Yes, Lord Husband." Miao Yin's beautiful eyes flickered. She waited for Wang Kai to leave before she clenched her teeth. "Bastard, Miao Yin wants to see if you're going out in the middle of the night to do business or to have an affair." Miao Yin's red lips were tightly pursed. She swayed her body and carefully followed from behind. In response, the old man and Uncle Fu, who appeared in front of the door, shook their heads speechlessly. "This girl should be a cultivator from the Buddha state, right?" the old man said indifferently. Uncle Fu nodded slightly and smiled with relief. "Young master is indeed a member of the Wang family. Even a disciple of Buddhism can cough. Just like his mother. What does it have to do with the Wang family?" The old man snorted disdainfully. The imperial advisor's residence. In the lotus pavilion at the center of the lotus pond, a graceful figure was sitting inside. Her jade-like hand was holding a thick book and she was reading it with her head lowered. Beside the lotus pond, Lu Chengshen and Zhou Rong were hugging each other. Their eyes were filled with worry and guilt as they gazed at Lu Yao in the pavilion. "Becoming a god, why don't we go to the 8 Desolates and find Brother Wang and Sister Lin and ask them to enlighten Wang Kai?" Zhou Rong shook her head and sighed. Lu Chengshen shook his head slightly and looked at the starry night sky, speechless for a long time. In order to go to the 8 Desolates, one must transform into the Tao. Even if one did not transform into the Tao and went to the 8 Desolates through the endless sea, it was not something an ordinary person could do. With Lu Chengshen and Zhou Rong's abilities, they naturally did not have any confidence. Zhou Rong had just regained her freedom not long ago. How could they put her in danger again? "In my opinion, it's not a bad thing that Yao and Wang Kai are not together," Lu Chengshen said indifferently. From Wang Kai's various deeds, it was not difficult to see that Wang Kai was a person who did things without considering the big picture. If such a person did not die, he would definitely achieve great things. However, with Wang Kai's character in the 8 Desolates, he was afraid that, whoosh! Suddenly, a figure appeared above the lotus pond. He was dressed in white and had a handsome face. With his hands behind his back, he looked at the girl in the pavilion calmly. Such a scene naturally attracted the attention of Lu Chengshen and his wife. After seeing that it was Wang Kai, they couldn't help but look at each other, feeling a little surprised. I think they are a good match. Moreover, with Sister Lin's domineering character, she would not allow Wang Kai to ruin her arranged marriage. Let's go, Zhou Rong said softly with a smile in her eyes. Hearing that, Lu Qingshan was startled. He glared at Wang Kai with anger in his eyes. If possible, he did not want Lu Yao to be with him. However, he came to find him. Bastard! He was so arrogant in Mount Supreme. Now that he wants to be with me, I will not agree. Slap! Just as Lu Qingshan was about to step forward to stop them, Zhou Rong covered his mouth and dragged him away. Why are you here? Within the pavilion, Lu Yao gently closed the book. Her beautiful face appeared even more enchanting under the illumination of the moonlight. However, the clear coldness in her eyes was especially obvious. Ben Shao came here for 2 reasons. First, to give you the Vermilion Bird Dao token. You said that you wanted to obtain the inheritance of the Vermilion Bird. Since Ben Shao has agreed, he must keep his word. Wang Kai shrugged. With his hands behind his back, he instantly entered the pavilion. With a flip of his hand, he took out the Vermilion Bird Dao token and gently threw it over. Plop! Upon seeing this, Lu Yao raised her hand and received it. Her beautiful eyes swept over it with a strange look. She raised her head and looked at Wang Kai. With a clear and cold smile, she said, "In your eyes am I, Lu Yao, a woman who will only take advantage of you?" Plop! As soon as she finished speaking, Lu Yao threw the Vermilion Bird Dao tablet into the lotus pond, as if she was throwing trash. Chapter 394. She actually threw it away? Oh my god! Her temper was quite bad. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. With his hands behind his back, he took a few steps towards her. However, he discovered that she did not dodge at all. Even when he was right in front of her and the distance between them was less than a finger, she still maintained her cold appearance and her eyes were extremely cold. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. Unexpectedly, he raised his hand and lifted her chin. With a playful smile, he said, "Little girl, do you believe that Ben Shao will do you right now? The first goal has been achieved. What is the second goal?" Lu Yao said coldly. Hugging the book, she took 2 steps back and turned around to look at the bright moon. Her temperament was otherworldly and her back was cold and lonely. The second goal. When Wang Kai heard this, the corners of his mouth curled up. With a rather lascivious smile, he said, "The second goal is naturally to crash." Suddenly, before Wang Kai could finish speaking, he saw the Vermilion Bird Dao tablet, which was covered in scarlet flames, emerge from the water. Swoosh! A scarlet vermilion bird with fiery red feathers appeared from within the Vermilion Bird Dao tablet. Its body was covered in flames and its eyes flickered with fire. After indifferently glancing at Wang Kai, it turned into a streak of scarlet light and flew into the space between Lu Yao's eyebrows. It actually took the initiative to choose a successor? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He could not help but look in surprise at the space between Lu Yao's eyebrows. A scarlet flame mark gradually appeared on her forehead. No matter how he thought about it, he could not figure out why the vermilion bird would choose Lu Yao as its successor. Could it be that there was something special about Lu Yao? However, when he saw Lu Yao's puzzled expression, Wang Kai gave up on the idea of asking her. Perhaps only the vermilion bird herself knew why she had chosen Lu Yao. "What is the second goal? I don't have time to waste with you," Lu Yao said coldly. The scarlet flame mark between her eyebrows added another strange charm to her already otherworldly temperament. Wang Kai couldn't describe that feeling clearly, but he felt that it was even more intoxicating. But no matter how she changed her appearance, it would not change Wang Kai's purpose in coming here. The second purpose is very simple. I want to take you back to the bridal chamber. Whoosh! As his voice faded, Wang Kai's figure suddenly moved. With a flip of his hand, he picked up Lu Yao. With a push of his foot, he stepped into the air and left. Wang Kai, my successor, must have a complete primordial Yin. You cannot touch her. Suddenly, Lu Yao's voice was filled with a tone that brooked no refusal. That icy commanding tone and scorching temperature caused Wang Kai's body to suddenly stop in midair. He turned his head to look at the flickering scarlet flame between Lu Yao's eyebrows, and his pupils immediately shrank. Right now, Lu Yao's eyes were filled with fire. She was as cold as ever, but she also had an insufferably arrogant demeanor, as if she was the ruler of the world. He gave Wang Kai the feeling of a stranger. Even when he had captured her, she did not resist, nor did she have any intention of struggling. You actually dare to control the mind of Bencheo's future wife? Old bitch Vermilion Bird, aren't you a little too pretentious? Wang Kai's face darkened as he coldly questioned. Vermilion Bird, old bitch? Whoosh. The moment these words were spoken, Lu Yao's eyes immediately blazed with fire. The scarlet flame between her brows burned even more fiercely. A scarlet ray of light directly pierced through and headed straight for Wang Kai's forehead. This is for you to show off. You're just a Yuan spirit doppelganger, yet you dare to attack Ben Shao. Wang Kai's face darkened even more when he saw this. He suddenly raised his hand and flicked his finger, causing the scarlet ray of light to shatter and dissipate. Bang! In the blink of an eye, Wang Kai pressed his finger on Lu Yao's forehead, causing the scarlet flame mark to gradually lose its luster. Wang Kai, this sovereign's successor must be a virgin. If you're disrespectful to her, she will never be able to cultivate this sovereign's inheritance again. Whoosh! As the Vermilion Bird sovereign's voice gradually faded and disappeared, the scarlet mark between her brows also lost its luster. You bastard! You lecher, why aren't you putting me down? After Lu Yao recovered her consciousness, she instantly widened her eyes in shock when she saw that she was actually in Wang Kai's embrace. Her eyes were filled with anger as she repeatedly berated him. Her jade-like hands continuously waved about, but they were completely useless. I'll let you go if I'll let you go. What's the fuss about? Ben Shao is a great hero who has swept the universe and attracted millions of beauties. What kind of beauty can't he want? Do you really think that Ben Shao wants to do you that much? Wang Kai's eyes flickered as he quickly thought about it. In the end, he directly released Lu Yao. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 3rd grade Divine Emperor realm. Lu Yao's eyes grew colder when she heard this. Her pretty face tensed up as she stared at Wang Kai. After a long while, she finally calmed down and said in a cold voice, You should be going to the 8 Wastelands, right? Although I can't transform into the Way yet, when I reach the 8 Wastelands, we'll meet again and fight to the death. Whoosh! As soon as she finished speaking, Lu Yao's pretty face turned cold as she turned around and left. Only Wang Kai, whose face was black and purple, was left behind. He looked up at the bright moon and said angrily, Old Lady Vermilion Bird, you'd better not fall into the hands of Ben Shao. Now, keep your original spirit avatar and pass it on to Lu Yao. When the time comes, not only will your inheritance be obtained by Ben Shao's woman, but even you won't be able to escape from Ben Shao. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 4th grade Divine Emperor realm. Hearing this, Wang Kai didn't care at all. He might not be the Vermilion Bird Sovereign's opponent now, but it didn't mean that he wouldn't be in the future. Even if he couldn't get Lu Yao now, it didn't mean that he couldn't in the future. Ha! What a tough life you have, my husband. Such a deep friendship, but in the end it's a life and death battle. With a playful laugh, Miao Yin's explosive figure appeared above the void. She was staring at Wang Kai with hidden bitterness. Wang Kai's face darkened when he heard this. He naturally knew that Miao Yin had been following him from behind. He didn't expose her because he wanted her to understand that it was impossible for him to love her alone. He didn't want to cause trouble in the future. But who would have thought that not only did he fail to achieve his goal, but he was also ridiculed by her. Little girl, is your skin getting tight again? Do you need Ben Shao to loosen it for you? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and snorted with an unfriendly look. Hearing this, Miao Yin's figure slowly lay flat in the void. She even intentionally lifted her slender, snow-white legs. As she slightly bent and stretched them, under the moonlight, they looked even more provocative. Is Miao Yin afraid of you? I'm afraid that my husband can't do it, ha ha ha. Little girl, you're playing with fire. Swish. Wang Kai's face darkened. He breathed heavily and then stepped in front of Miao Yin, carrying her in his arms. Chapter 395. The next morning, Wang Kai and Miao Yin were still energetic after a night of fighting. However, Miao Yin was still lying on the bed, unable to get up. Uncle Fu, the old man, and the guards of the marshal's mansion were also sleepless. Hearing Wang Kai's earth-shattering battle last night, they could not fall asleep. In the morning, when the air was fresh and the flowers were fragrant, Wang Kai was the only one who got out of bed. Sigh, they are getting more and more unruly. The marshal's mansion, the #1 military god of the Daffin dynasty, is too lazy to go to bed. The guards are also. Forget it, Ben Shao is a good young man who understands the current situation. I won't argue with them. They must be so happy that they couldn't sleep last night because of Ben Shao's return. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th grade Divine Emperor realm. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai smiled happily and walked out of the marshal's mansion with his hands behind his back. After using his divine sense, he found that Fatty Lu had returned to the royal city of Fan Province. Bragging. Braggart. In each room of the marshal's mansion, the guards and servants were talking in their sleep. They did not wake up and were just talking in disdain. It could be seen how much Wang Kai had tortured them. In the White Jade Tower, Wang Kai and Fatty Lu were at the same time. The two popular figures in the royal city naturally attracted the attention of many people. Wang Kai, he really came back. Of course, why would I lie to you? Last night I was playing in the White Jade Tower and saw him. Lu, the young master of the Lu family, will also come. He became a bald donkey. Shoo. I heard that young Master Kai forced him to become a monk. Hearing the noisy discussion of the crowd, Wang Kai could not help but smile. Fatso Lu also patted his chest and laughed. Ba. Benefactor, are you going to brag again? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly and shrugged indifferently. He sat on the chair with his legs crossed and smiled casually. Fatty, Ben Shao is going to the 8 Desolates. I vaguely remember that 10,000 years ago, Ben Shao was the ruler of the 8 Desolates. Now that the tribulation is over, it's time to go back and take a look. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 6th stage Divine Emperor realm. Ba. Benefactor is really a role model for our generation. I only hope that you can brag about the 8 Desolate. When Uncle Lu goes there, I will lend you a hand. Fatso Lu laughed. Wang Kai was not surprised by his words. Fatso Lu had reached the peak of the Saint Emperor realm, and it was only a matter of time before he broke through to the immortal martial realm. He also had the reincarnation fire. If he could reach the 8 Desolates, no one knew how monstrous his cultivation speed would be. After all, according to the old man, the mystical fire was still awesome in the 8 Desolate. The mystical fire that turned into the bloodline was even more awesome. After drinking with Fatso Lu for a day and a night, Wang Kai brought Miao Yin and left the Fan province quietly without saying goodbye to anyone. He did not give any farewell gift. Just like when he went to the immortal martial domain, he left the Fan province quietly. Wang Kai did not like parting the most. However, the outside world and the interesting things in the mortal world were always tempting him. He had no choice but to leave. In the joyful Buddha temple of the Buddha continent, after Wang Kai sent Miao Yin back, they spent the entire night in bed. Wang Kai liked this kind of life, but he didn't like to overdo it. Filled with anticipation and curiosity, he directly headed to the northern region's treasure-gathering pavilion in the Demon Continent. 9-petal lotus, soul reversal Ganoderma, ghost face flower, heavenly mountain dew, 10,000-year glacial ice, all the ingredients needed to concoct the 9 revolutions soul return pill. The more the better. Wang Kai shrugged with a smile. Hao Ren's eyes gleamed with sharpness when he heard that. The 9 revolutions soul return pill was an ancient pill formula. To think that Wang Kai really had it and even wanted to concoct it. However, when he thought of Wang Kai's capabilities and his fame in the immortal martial domain, he could even resolve a calamity with a single hand. What else was there that he couldn't obtain? Young Lord Kai, there's a woman here who has been waiting for you for a month. Hao Ren respectfully clasped his fist. There's a woman? Wang Kai's expression froze when he heard that. His heart was filled with curiosity, and he couldn't help but concentrate his divine sense to probe. When he discovered that the so-called woman was actually the dragon maiden of the black dragon race, his brows relaxed. There's no need to meet her. Go and look for the ingredient. Wang Kai waved his hands and smiled. The reason why the dragon maiden was looking for him was none other than to revive the black dragon race's leader. Today, he came to the treasure-gathering pavilion to purchase the ingredients needed to concoct the 9 revolutions soul return pill. Naturally, it was also to fulfill the promise they made back then. After Hao Ren left, Wang Kai slowly closed his eyes and silently asked, "Is it possible to revive someone whose soul has dissipated?" "Host, it's possible with your blood essence. A single drop can revive one person. It's limited to those whose cultivation base is lower than your current cultivation base." Blood essence could actually revive the dead? Even the soul could be destroyed? Hearing the prompt, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and couldn't help but touch his nose. He smiled strangely and said, "Could it be that Ben Shao is a treasure? If this news spreads, won't countless people chase after Ben Shao to bleed him? Ben Shao is very dangerous." Buzz. Plop. Plop then, Wang Kai flicked his finger indifferently and drops of blood essence dripped from his fingertip into the jade bottles. In just a dozen breaths, more than 1,000 drops of blood essence had been expelled from his body. Looking at the jade bottles on the ground, Wang Kai's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. His battle strength had also dropped from the Divine Emperor realm to the Celestial Emperor realm. Even though Wang Kai was a Divine Emperor, he couldn't guarantee that he would be unscathed after losing more than 1,000 drops of blood essence. Forget it. Back then, Ben Shao didn't know the might of his martial skills and mistakenly killed the Black Dragon clan, causing their clan to be annihilated. Today, I'll consider it as repayment. Wang Kai frowned and sighed weakly. Is it possible to recover? Wang Kai urged in his mind. Host, the system won't repair any damage that you willingly cause. Hearing the prompt, Wang Kai was speechless and sighed. Thinking about it, he didn't mind. Although his battle strength had dropped, his cultivation base was still at the Divine Emperor realm. Now, he just needed to rest and recover. Young Master Kai, you. Hao Ren came back and saw the terrifyingly pale face of Wang Kai. He was so frightened that his body trembled, and he hurriedly scanned the surroundings with caution. Hao Ren was extremely shocked. In the immortal martial domain, who could injure Wang Kai? Moreover, he was able to do it so quietly? The corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this. He waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, keep these jade bottles and pass them to Dragon Maiden. Tell her that Ben Shao has fulfilled his promise. She only needs to fuse the blood essence in the bottles into the body of the person who needs it. She will understand. Yes, young Master Kai. Then these pill concoction materials. Howren hurriedly replied. With a flip of his hand, he took out a spatial ring that was filled with the ingredients for the 9 Revolutions Soul Return pill. However, seeing Wang Kai in such a state, could he still concoct pills? So fast. Wang Kai was stunned when he saw this. He didn't expect that the ingredients for the 9 Revolutions Soul Return pill would be so easy to obtain. Howren bowed and cupped his fist. He respectfully said, "Young Master Kai, there's something you don't know. After knowing that you were looking for pill concoction materials, the various powers in the 6 prefectures and 1 island all took the initiative to offer them to you, and I understand. Let's meet again in the future." Wang Kai nodded slightly and took the spatial ring. He then stepped into the air and left the Endless Treasures Pavilion. He headed straight for the border of the immortal martial domain, towards the Endless Sea. No one knew that Wang Kai had left for the 8 desolate lands. He came grandly but left quietly. Chapter 396. You want to go to the Sky Pillar sect as well? The old man exclaimed in shock. He hurriedly pulled Hu Zi and took a detour. As he walked, he waved his hands and begged for mercy. "Young man, I was wrong just now. Please let us go." If he brought such an arrogant young man with him, not only would Hu Zi not be able to become a disciple of the Sky Pillar sect, his life would also be in danger. Is Ben Shao that terrifying? The important thing is that he didn't bully you guys. Wang Kai rubbed his nose, feeling extremely helpless. However, he had no choice but to follow behind them. It would be extremely difficult to find the Sky Pillar sect in the 8 desolate. Not only that, Wang Kai had also secretly tried to scan the area with his divine sense earlier. It was basically impossible to scan the entire area. Almost every place had some sort of invisible obstruction. This caused his divine sense to only be able to clearly scan the surroundings. Big stupid cat, is the 8 desolates really so awesome? In the immortal martial realm, the power of this young master's divine sense can cover the entire 6 prefectures and 1 island. But in this place, why can't it even cover 100 miles? Wang Kai furrowed his brows as he transmitted his voice over. Within the heaven-connecting tower, Lord Cat was stroking his long whiskers as he floated in the air, resting. When he heard Qin Wentian's words, he sneered. "Don't compare the immortal martial domain to the 8 desolates. The restrictions of the heavenly Tao in the immortal martial domain are extremely weak. In the 8 desolates, the restrictions of the heavenly Tao are the strictest." Hearing this, Wang Kai's expression froze. All the Taos that one cultivates will eventually lead to the heavenly Tao? With regards to this, his heart was filled with disdain. Ben Shao's Tao of bragging is an existence that surpasses the heavenly Tao. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. As soon as he finished speaking, there was no system notification. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. He could not help but grin and mutter, "It seems that the art of bragging is indeed above the heavenly way. Even if it's not that powerful now, the system thinks so." Cough cough. As expected of the bragging system, it was good at bragging. "Hee kid, if you can really surpass the heavenly axiom, I really want to see how the world will be transformed by you. However, before you reach that level, you should stop bragging and focus more on cultivation. You are still far from being able to use your divine soul as freely as you did in the immortal martial domain." Cat Lord stroked his long whiskers as he laughed in disdain. Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this. He did not care about Cat Lord's words. With his hands behind his back, he leisurely followed behind the old man. When the old man sped up, he sped up as well. When the old man stepped on the air, he stepped on the air as well. It could be said that he was like a maggot in a tarsal bone. Even though the old man was an emperor, he was so tired that he was gasping for breath. He angrily carried the child and floated to the ground. He turned around and said unhappily, "Young man, why are you so annoying? Benshao doesn't want to be like this. As long as you tell Benshao the location of the Sky Pillar sect, wouldn't that be enough?" Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and said with a playful smile. "You?" The old man held his breath when he heard this. He had never met someone like Wang Kai. He was so angry that he could not stop gasping for breath. After a while, he said, "Fine, fine, fine. Young man, since you want to seek death, this old man will fulfill your wish. 300 miles southwest is where the Sky Pillar sect is." Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, Wang Kai's figure suddenly disappeared. The old man's eyes widened when he saw Wang Kai's elusive speed. Heavens! What realm is that young man at? Is he a saint? Or is he an even stronger celestial emperor? The old man exclaimed. On the other hand, the child was quite open-minded. He pouted and snorted. "As long as I enter the Sky Pillar sect, I can also be as powerful as him." The old man sighed and shook his head. Cough, cough. "Grandfather only hopes that you can save Yang village." At the same time, 300 miles away, Wang Kai's figure stopped in midair when he saw a mountain peak. Buzz. Using his divine sense, he soon found the location of a mountain gate. The words Sky Pillar Sect were neatly and powerfully carved on the stone plaque of the mountain gate. In front of the mountain gate, there were nearly 100 figures lined up. The oldest was around 20 years old, and the youngest was only 5 or 6 years old. Far away from the mountain gate, there were hundreds of middle-aged and even old men who were watching with anticipation and nervousness. Name, age, and realm. 2 young disciples in silver robes were sitting in front of a table and asking expressionlessly. The word pillar was printed on the chest of the 2 young men's robes. Their auras and cultivation were both at the Celestial Emperor realm. Zhang Lu, 17 years old, Quasi-Emperor realm. A plainly dressed young man stepped forward and introduced himself. The 2 disciples of the Sky Pillar sect nodded slightly. One of them said, "Disciples of the Xian rank, stand aside and wait." "Yes. Thank you, senior brother." The young man was clearly very excited. He quickly bowed and cupped his fists to express his gratitude. Then, he waved and smiled at his parents who were watching from afar. When the young man stood in the line of profound-ranked disciples, the young people in the line behind him excitedly stepped forward to introduce him. Recruiting disciples? TSK. Is there still a need for the Sky Pillar sect to exist? Wang Kai shrugged and sneered disdainfully. Immediately, he floated down from the sky. Swoosh! When Wang Kai landed at the front of the line, the 2 disciples who were sitting frowned. The young man on the left said coldly, "Get lost and line up at the back. If you dare to violate the rules again, there's no need to line up. Get lost and go home," the man on the right reprimanded. Hearing this, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. He walked in front of the 2 men, stretched out his hand, and firmly pinched the shoulder of one of them. Soon after, he hung him in the air and said with a mocking smile, "Do you know that this young master is the founder of the Sky-bearing sect? Where's that idiot Di Xian? Ask him to come out and greet Benshao." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 1st grade Divine Emperor realm. Di Xian. Swoosh. As soon as he said that, the 2 disciples' expressions changed. The disciple who was held in the air scolded sternly, "How dare you? Who are you? How dare you behave so atrociously in my Sky Pillar sect? Why aren't you releasing senior brother Fong? Do you want to die?" Such a scene stunned the people in the line. They couldn't believe that the arrogant disciple of the Sky Pillar sect would be caught like a little chick. Moreover, He didn't even have the strength to resist. Ben Shao is the sect master of the Sky Pillar sect. His name is Wang Kai. He came here today for only one purpose, and that is to take the life of the Sky Pillar sect's sect master, Di Xian. Wang Kai said with an indifferent smile. Chapter 397. The Heavenly Sect? Everyone was stunned when they heard this. The two Sky Pillar sect disciples looked at Wang Kai in astonishment. They had never heard of such a sect in the Heaven Reverse region. Humph, a 10th grade force? No wonder it's unknown. Put me down. Since you want to go up the mountain to seek death, I'll fulfill your wish. The disciple snorted coldly. His eyes were filled with disdain. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard this. He suddenly flipped his hand and slapped the disciple's body, sending him flying into the sky. When the disciple fell to the ground with a plop, his body twitched and he fainted. You know you're not Ben Shao's match, but you're still so arrogant. However, you should rejoice that Ben Shao is a benevolent and righteous person. He will treat pretentious people like you equally. I'll spare your dog life. Don't act so pretentious in the future. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 2nd grade Divine Emperor realm. Everyone's mouth twitched when they heard this. They didn't expect this young man to have such a character. He attacked the disciple as soon as he arrived and even knocked him out. However, he said he was a benevolent and righteous person. What did this have to do with benevolence and righteousness? Bring Ben Shao up the mountain. Let's see that self-righteous old man, Di Xian. Wang Kai smiled faintly with his hands behind his back. Whoosh. Although the disciple was furious when he heard Wang Kai's words, he could only obey. He had the same idea as senior brother Feng. As long as this person entered the Sky Pillar sect, it would be difficult for him to survive. As the disciple led the way, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He turned around and looked at the young people who were queuing up. He couldn't help but wave his hand and say, "You don't need to line up. After today, the Sky Pillar sect will be disbanded." As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai and the disciple gradually disappeared into the mountain gate under everyone's stunned gazes. Are we really going to go back? But I've already become a disciple of the Sky Pillar sect. There's no need to worry. Didn't you hear senior brother say that the Sky Discord sect is just a mere tier 10 force? Yes, that's right. The strongest person in a 10th grade force is at the Divine Tao realm. Just now, that madman called himself the sect master and had the strength to make senior brother Immortal Emperor unable to fight back. I think he must be the strongest person in the Discord sect. Humph. A mere Divine Tao realm cultivator from a 10th grade power actually dares to make an enemy out of a 7th grade power, the Sky Pillar sect? Let's wait here. Very soon, a senior brother from the sect will come down to receive us. At the same time, on the mountain path of the Sky Pillar sect, Wang Kai had a playful expression as he leisurely followed behind the inner sect disciple. Tell Ben Shao about the Eastern Wilderness. Tell me which forces are the most powerful? Wang Kai shrugged and asked calmly. When the disciple leading the way heard this, the disdain in his eyes deepened. He thought to himself, sure enough, he's only the leader of a 10th grade force. He doesn't even know how many powerful forces there are in the Eastern Wilderness. The most powerful force in the Eastern Wilderness is naturally the Eastern Imperial Court, followed by the 2 divine palaces and the Great Sage. These 4 forces are the pinnacle of the Eastern Wilderness. They're all first-grade forces. The disciple said proudly. Slap. Suddenly, Wang Kai raised his hand and slapped the disciple. The disciple's body bent and almost fell to the ground. What's there to be proud of? The Sky Pillar sect isn't among the 4 first-grade forces. Wang Kai snorted disdainfully. The disciple covered the back of his head. He was extremely angry, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. He couldn't help but scold, "Then what's there to be proud of? The Sky Pillar sect is only a 10th grade force. Do you know that a 10th grade force is the lowest level of all forces? No matter how bad the Sky Pillar sect is, it's still a 7th grade force." Whoosh! As soon as Wang Kai finished speaking, the disciple suddenly came to his senses. Because of his anger, he couldn't restrain himself and actually refuted Wang Kai. For a moment, his back was covered in cold sweat and he secretly cursed himself for being impulsive. Hee, you're not bad. At least you have the vigor of a young man. What's your name? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly and asked with a smile. The Sky Pillar sect disciple, who thought that he would inevitably be beaten up, was stunned when he heard this. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said in a low voice, "My surname is Liu, and my name is Tian." Liu Tian? OF*CK. Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he heard this. He couldn't help but pat the disciple's shoulder. He nodded and praised, "Good name. Ben Shao scolds the heavens, but you want to scold the heavens. Cough cough, the younger generation will surpass us in time." No. My name doesn't mean that. It's Liu, not scold. Liu Tian emphasized with a red face. He didn't expect that the Sky Pillar sect's leader would be so strange. It was clearly a very famous name, but he changed it to scold the heavens. It's the same meaning, the same meaning. Wang Kai waved his hand and smiled indifferently. Liu Tian wanted to cry but had no tears. He clenched his teeth and couldn't help but refute loudly again, "It's not the same meaning. My surname is Liu, not scold the heavens. With such a famous name like mine, I will definitely become the #1 expert in the Eastern Wilderness and even the 8 Wilderness in the future. Don't randomly change it." At the end of his words, Liu Tian was stunned. Especially when he saw Wang Kai's playful smile. He was so frightened that his heart jumped violently. Damn it! Why can't I change this bad habit of being impulsive? Liu Tian cried out loudly in his heart. If it weren't for this impulsive character, he wouldn't have gone to the foot of the mountain to guard the mountain gate and record the disciples who signed up. With Liu Tian's talent, he would have become a pro-disciple of the Sky-bearing sect long ago. However, even the elder's reprimand would refute him. It was already fortunate that he could survive. "You're very good, Liu Tian. Follow Ben Shao in the future. Ben Shao will live a good life, and you will also be able to drink well. We can roam the 8 Wilderness freely. Well, I'll temporarily appoint you as the first elder of the Sky Pillar sect," Wang Kai said with a serious expression. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 3rd grade Divine Emperor realm. The first elder of the Sky Pillar sect?" When Liu Tian heard this, the disdain in his eyes deepened. He spat and said disdainfully, "With my ability, I will definitely become the #1 expert in the Eastern Wilderness and even the 8 Wilderness in the future. How can the Sky Pillar sect, a 10th grade force, tolerate me?" Plop! At the end of his words, Liu Tian fell to the ground. A gust of cold wind rushed from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. He wished he could block his mouth. Not bad, not bad. You have the demeanor of Ben Shao in the past. However, can you stop showing off in front of Ben Shao? You can only be a gatekeeper in a 7th grade force. You want to dominate the 8 wastelands? Don't you feel ashamed? Wang Kai said with a mocking smile. When Liu Tian heard this, his eyes widened. Just as he was about to speak, he reacted and shut his mouth. He choked back the words that he wanted to say. Instead, he chose to speak in an extremely relaxed tone and said, "This is only temporary. This is a test given to me by the heavens. When I pass the test, I will definitely become the #1 expert in the Eastern Wilderness and even the 8 Wilderness." Haha, Benshao, I think you have passed the test. You have to join the Sky Pillar sect whether you want to or not. Wang Kai suddenly burst into laughter. He was becoming more and more interested in Lu Tian. Wouldn't it be great to travel in the 8 wilderness with such a follower? Compared to those inflexible people who were two-faced in front of others, they were much better. More importantly, Lu Tian was very good at bragging. Chapter 398. You want me, the future #1 expert in the Eastern Wilderness and even the 8 Wilderness, to join the 10th grade force, the Sky-Defying sect? Do you have a sect? Lu Tian asked with a disdainful grin. Sect? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. With his hands behind his back, he smiled casually and said, Of course I do. It's thousands of times more powerful than the Sky-Bearing sect. Even the East Royal Court can't be compared to it. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've gained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 4th grade Divine Emperor realm. Hiss. As soon as these words came out, Lu Tian immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. With a face full of ridicule, he sneered. The 10th grade force is a group of motley crew. They rely on their strength to bully their fellow villagers. They don't have a sect. The 9th grade force is a bandit that occupies a mountain and calls itself king. The 8th grade force is a big family that dominates 1,000 miles. Only the 7th grade force can have a sect. They can establish a sect and be the peak force within a region. At this point, Lu Tian shut his mouth and looked at Wang Kai with disdain. The implication was obvious. 10th grade forces were just gangsters who bullied the villagers. When did Benshao say that the Sky-Defying sect is only a 10th grade force? Wang Kai shrugged and said with a mocking smile. Not a 10th grade force? He must be bragging. Lu Tian didn't believe it. He sneered again and said, Do you have a sect guarding divine weapon? Do you have more than 10,000 disciples? Do you have divine powers and cultivation skills? How many types do you have? Panaceas, sect guarding array, restriction, divine weapons, and so on. You don't even have these basic things. How dare you establish a sect? Are you playing house? I'll dominate the Eastern Wilderness and even the 8 Wilderness in the future. I can't play with you. Sect guarding divine weapon? More than 10,000 disciples? Divine powers, cultivation skills? Panaceas, sect guarding array, restriction? Divine weapons? Or the most basic one? Wang Kai was quite surprised when he heard this. He didn't expect that establishing a force would require so many twists and turns. However, after thinking about it, he didn't care. He shrugged his shoulders and smiled indifferently. Isn't it just a divine tool? Benshao can do it with a wave of his hand. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th stage Divine Emperor realm. He could casually conjure it? Let me see how you do it. Lu Tian sneered as he thought to himself, It's already good enough for a mere 10th grade force to possess an immortal artifact, yet they dare to say that they can casually summon a divine artifact? Little did they know that Wang Kai, who had heard the notification, was also dumbfounded. Since the system had notified him, it proved that he could not turn anything into a divine artifact. Thinking of this, Wang Kai frowned. He tentatively summoned a rock and said, Every bush and tree is an enemy. Buzz. As a green streamer flowed across the surface of the rock, the aura it emitted was not that of a divine artifact, but a fairy artifact. Every bush and tree is an enemy is useless? Won't Benshao be able to catch a divine artifact with his bare hands in the future? Wang Kai's heart thumped violently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 6th stage Divine Emperor realm. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai's face darkened. He was just a spiritual body, so he didn't have the ability to deal with a divine artifact. He was just thinking about how to get away with it. After all, as the leader of a sect, he couldn't possibly lose face in front of the future elders of the sect, right? However, Lu Tian was already in a daze. He stared at the rock in Wang Kai's hand in disbelief, and his head was full of question marks. You have turned a rock into a fairy artifact. This. Lu Tian couldn't believe that there was such a capable person in the world. Even if it wasn't a divine artifact, it was already shocking enough that it could be a fairy artifact. Seeing this, Wang Kai secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He flipped his hand and threw the rock down the mountain. He smiled faintly and said, "It seems that Benxiao's cultivation has regressed recently, so he can only temporarily transform into a fairy artifact. Well, after killing Di Xian, I will cultivate properly and transform into a divine artifact for you to see." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th stage Divine Emperor realm. You? What realm are you in? Aren't you in the Divine Path realm? Lu Tian swallowed a mouthful of saliva and stared at Wang Kai with a face full of shock. At this moment, he no longer despised Wang Kai. He was already shocked by his superb skills. Moreover, Lu Tian didn't doubt Wang Kai at all. Just now, he had turned a useless rock into a fairy artifact in front of him. If he really cultivated properly, it wasn't impossible for him to transform into a divine artifact. Who said that Benxiao is in the Divine Path realm? It's not too high, but it's enough to dominate the eastern wilderness. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th stage Divine Emperor realm. Dominate the eastern wilderness. Hearing this, Lu Tian's breathing became heavy. For a moment, he couldn't tell whether Wang Kai was telling the truth or not. However, the ability to transform a rock into a fairy artifact couldn't be fake. Moreover, he couldn't see through Wang Kai's real realm. Could it be that he was really a super expert? Thinking of this, Lu Tian didn't dare to be presumptuous. Just like what Wang Kai had said to him before, he had passed the test given to him by God. Now, could it be that the opportunity had come? Sect Leader Wang, may I know your name? Where is the mountain gate located? Lu Tian asked expectantly. A person who could have such a strange skill must have a great reputation, right? This time, he might have really met a reclusive almighty. Benxiao cultivates the way of bragging. His name, of course, is Bragging God. Plop! Before Wang Kai could finish his words, Lu Tianjing fell to the ground and continuously wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. After calming himself down, he spat out a mouthful of saliva and snorted disdainfully. After all this time, you were just bragging? How unlucky! Bang! As soon as his voice fell, Wang Kai suddenly slapped Lu Tian, causing him to somersault. With a mocking smile, he said, Lu Tian, as the first-generation elder of the sect, you should know respect and absolute obedience to the sect leader. If this happens again, you won't have to wait to dominate the 8 wastelands in the future. Now, Benxiao will let you sleep forever and dominate in your dreams. You, Sect Leader Wang, I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please forgive me. Let's go up the mountain. Lu Tian was furious and choked back his rebuke. He only hoped that Wang Kai would be ruthlessly executed when he reached the place where the disciples and elders cultivated. What's the hurry? Benxiao hasn't let you see the mountain gate. The mountain gate of the Discord sect must be very awesome. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. As soon as his voice fell, he flipped his hand and threw the Tong Tian pagoda into the void. After a burst of golden light, it turned into a huge golden pagoda that was as big as a mountain. Well, this is the place where the Discord sect cultivates. It is also the divine weapon of the Discord sect. Wang Kai smiled faintly with his hands behind his back. Looking at Lu Tian again, he was dumbfounded and fell to the ground. He looked at the golden pagoda that was shining with golden light and could not recover for a while. Chapter 399. The commotion attracted the attention of the disciples of the sky-bearing sect. Even the elders looked up at the Tower of Babel in astonishment. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 streaks of light also pierced through the air from the mountain. When they arrived in front of the heaven-connecting tower, they turned into 2 middle-aged men. They looked at each other with shock in their eyes. Headmaster Dixian, do you still have to pretend that you don't know anything? I can't believe the sky-bearing sect has such a ritual implement. You have been hiding it under the nose of the sect of Heaven Do and even the territorial lord. Ha ha, how impressive! The man in black armor sneered. Dixian, who was wearing a black robe and carrying a simple broadsword on his back, frowned slightly when he heard Sun Mo's words. He raised his hand and gently stroked his beard. He gently shook his head and said, General Sun, please don't misunderstand. I really don't know why this tower appeared and who it belongs to. Humph, you don't know? Dixian, the sky-bearing sect and the sect of Heaven Do are both 7th-rank forces. But don't forget that the territorial lord is the territorial lord of the sect of Heaven Do. The sect of Heaven Do is recruiting soldiers here. Not only did you not cooperate, but you also took the opportunity to take in the villagers as disciples. The sect of Heaven Do can't do anything to you. Aren't you afraid that I will report this to the territorial lord? General Sun snorted. Whoosh. Dixian's face turned cold. He glanced at the princes who were looking up and the young descendants of the villagers who came to join the sect. Dixian put his hands behind his back and said indifferently, General Sun, don't use the title of Region Master to oppress me. What's more, the Mansion of Heaven Do is recruiting soldiers just to use them as pathfinders. They will die for nothing. I am a benevolent and righteous man. How can I let you do whatever you want? Well said. Headmaster, you are a wise man. Headmaster Dixian is a benevolent and righteous man. I admire you. Dixian's voice was heard all over the sky-bearing mountain. Both the disciples and the villagers praised him loudly. Humph! No wonder I, Lu Tian, couldn't dominate the eastern wastelands and even the 8 wastelands early on. It's all because Sect Master Dixian is too benevolent. How could he become an overlord with such a disposition to help the people solve their worries? Lu Tian snorted in disdain. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard Dixian's words. He couldn't help but raise his arm and point at Dixian in the sky. He asked rather mockingly, Are you talking about him? Benevolence and righteousness? To solve the problems of the people? Who else could it be? Until now, he still hasn't noticed a genius like me, and he's always thinking about how to help the weak powers in the Heaven Reverse region. Alas, forget it, forget it. Once I break through into the divine Tao realm, I'll leave such a benevolent sect. Lu Tian shook his head and sighed, and his face was filled with disappointment. To Wang Kai, who clearly knew what kind of person Dixian was, Lu Tian's words and Dixian's actions were exactly the same as his disciple from the immortal martial domain, Diyin. Moreover, he was even better than Diyin. After all, it wasn't easy to become a peak 7th-ranked power in the 8 wasteland. You? Dixian, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Hand this tower over to the Heaven Reverse Manor. The Manor Lord will definitely hand it over to the Region Lord. As for the Tao God's relic, I can agree on behalf of the Manor Lord to let the Sky Pillar sect enter. General Sun said coldly. Di Xian shook his head when he heard that. He looked at the Tong Tian Tower indifferently and said, I do not know who this tower belongs to and how it appeared. However, I will take it and investigate it before I head to the Tao God relic. You mean you don't agree? If so, the Tao God's relic has nothing to do with your Sky Pillar sect. General Sun sneered. However, Di Xian glanced at him indifferently and laughed softly. No matter what, the Heaven Reverse Manor wants to deceive the weak and send them to their deaths in the Tao God's relic. I won't sit by and do nothing. You! That's enough. General Sun, are you an idiot? If that old bastard Di Xian says so, why don't you just agree? As long as the Sky Pillar sect enters the Tao God's relic, those who become the Sky Pillar sect's disciples will also become the Pathfinders and follow them in. In this way, the Heaven Reverse Manor will save the trouble of recruiting scapegoats everywhere. Isn't that great? Whoosh! Suddenly, Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and laughed softly with a playful expression. His words caused General Sun's eyes to sparkle. He turned his head and stared at Di Xian in disbelief. Was that really his goal? If that was the case, Di Xian was too vicious. In the name of benevolence, he stopped the Heaven Reverse Manor from recruiting scapegoats and took those scapegoats into the sect. He used this to force the Heaven Reverse Manor to give the Sky Pillar sect the right to enter the Tao God's relic. Once the Sky Pillar sect was given the right to enter the Tao God's relic, Di Xian, as the sect master, could order any of his disciples to go with them. He said it was for the disciples' future and opportunities, but in the end, only a few would survive. It's you, Wang Kai. Buzz. Murderous intent appeared in Di Xian's eyes. He stared coldly at Wang Kai, who was standing on the mountain path. He had never thought that Wang Kai would really come to the Eight Desolates. Back then, in the immortal martial domain's supreme mountain, the divine sense left behind by the painting scroll was destroyed by Di Xian. Di Xian's plan to seize the 5 Emperor Tablets had failed. Now that they met again, how could he let Di Xian live? Haha, it's Ben Shao. I'm the one who never changes my name. I'm the one who went against the sect master of the Heaven sect, Wang Kai. I'm here today to take your worthless life. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Whoosh! As soon as Di Xian said that, everyone's expression changed. They all stared at Wang Kai with murderous intent. Those who were close to Wang Kai even drew their weapons and surrounded Wang Kai. Wang Chi. How dare you, Wang Kai, come to the Sky Pillar sect and behave atrociously? You. Slap. Plop. Lu Tian, who had originally wanted to use this opportunity to display his might, was slapped to the ground by Wang Kai before he could finish speaking. He tightly clutched his chest as blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He looked at Wang Kai with a dumbfounded expression. Lu Tian, watch carefully how I kill this hypocrite Di Xian. At that time, you will definitely be the first-generation elder of the Discord sect. At that time, if you dare to be rude to me again, you will end up just like Di Xian. Wang Kai said with a mocking smile. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned into a stream of light and rushed toward Di Xian. Buzz. Rumble. The elders and disciples of the Sky Pillar sect, who were about to besiege Wang Kai, were all sent flying by the pressure when Wang Kai stepped into the air and spat out blood. They were like projectiles that covered the sky and earth. Wang Kai, I spared your life back then. You're an evil disciple full of evil, yet you still don't repent and dare to come to the Sky Pillar sect to seek revenge and cause trouble. Since that's the case, I won't be merciful and will kill you here to prevent you from causing chaos in the Eastern Wasteland in the future. Di Xian said coldly. He turned his hand and took out the simple broad sword on his back. He waved his arm and casually slashed down. He believed that no matter how strong Wang Kai was, he was only at the peak stage of the spiritual pedestal tier, while he himself was at the divine spirit tier. Chapter 400. Swoosh. Patter. Wang Kai appeared in front of Di Xian in the blink of an eye and easily dodged the black sword Qi. When he appeared in front of Di Xian, he grabbed Di Xian's wrist. Your cultivation level. Why are you so strong? Di Xian's pupils shrank when he saw this. He wanted to struggle, but he found that his body was so stiff that he couldn't move at all. It was only now that he realized that Wang Kai's cultivation level had surpassed his, and the gap between them was huge. Slap. Wang Kai raised his hand and slapped Di Xian. Di Xian's face was instantly smashed, and all his teeth were shattered. Ah! Di Xian roared in pain, but he immediately glared at Wang Kai in anger. He couldn't tolerate such humiliation. But he had to tolerate it. One could imagine the feeling of humiliation and suffocation. Weren't you bragging just now? You said that you spared Ben Xiao's life back then? You said that you wanted to kill Ben Xiao today? What made you even more bragging was that you used such a simple move. Do you think that Ben Xiao is your father? Do you think that he wants to practice with you? F***CKU. Wang Kai sneered with disdain. As soon as he finished speaking, he slapped Di Xian again. Slap. Pretentious fool, your hypocrisy hasn't been revealed yet because you haven't met Ben Xiao yet. But don't worry, Ben Xiao won't reveal your disgusting face, because you don't deserve it. Slap. Slap. Back then on Mount Supreme, I severed a strand of your divine sense. Today, I'm going to completely kill you here. I'll let you understand that it's not easy to pretend to be pretentious, and not just anyone can do it. Slap. Slap. Wang Kai slapped Di Xian's head with great force, and in the blink of an eye, his spiritual soul was destroyed. Finally, he kicked Di Xian's headless corpse into a rain of blood and bone. Dead. Without being able to put up any resistance, he died. Many of the Sky Pillar sect's disciples and elders were dumbfounded. They stared blankly at the sky, at the falling rain of blood, and at the white-clothed youth standing with his hands behind his back. Lu Tian and General Sun from the sect of Heaven Do were especially stunned. They never thought that Wang Kai would be this strong. Why does he look so familiar? Could it be him? No, he shouldn't be that Wang Kai. Definitely not. That Wang Kai is only at the transcendent realm. I must have guessed wrong. General Sun thought to himself. Patter. Wang Kai flipped his hand and held the simple, black broadsword in his hand. He casually slashed a few times as he looked at the rain of blood. His expression was rather indifferent as he smiled and said, "From today onwards, the Sky Pillar sect is disbanded. How dare you?" Swoosh. Suddenly, a furious roar rang out. A black-robed old man flew down from the mountain peak. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at Wang Kai. Ancestor. Sky Pillar sect's ancestor. Ancestor, you must avenge the sect master. This is too hateful of the sect master. Many elders and disciples knelt on the ground and shouted excitedly. Where did you pop out from? How dare you interrupt Ben Xiao's awesome declaration? Do you want to die? Wang Kai snorted as he stared at the old man with a dark face. Swoosh. As soon as these words came out, the black-robed old man's face darkened. He raised his head and roared. He turned into a black shadow and arrived in front of Wang Kai. He raised his hand and chopped down. Wang Kai sneered disdainfully when he saw this. He immediately raised his foot and kicked out. A mere divine emperor dares to show off in front of Ben Xiao? Did you bring your head with you? Bang! Wah rumble! Under everyone's incredulous gazes, the Sky Pillar sect's ancestor was sent flying like a meteor by Wang Kai's kick. His face was deathly pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Blood sprayed out from the corner of his mouth like water, but he couldn't stop himself. He could only be driven by the huge force and fell heavily on the mountain peak, setting off clouds of dust and rock. A divine emperor ancestor is no match for the sect master of the Sky Pillar sect. How is this possible? Just what level of expert was he? Could he be a divine emperor? No, at the very least, he's at the divine emperor level. Maybe Tao Profound Realm. God. A Tao Profound Realm expert, that's a level that only the master of a grade 6 force can reach. Hearing everyone's discussions and exclamations, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He raised his hand and rubbed his chin. He smiled curiously and said, Tao Profound Realm? The realm above Divine Emperor? Looking at Lu Tian again, he had already fallen into deep shock. Forget that sect master Di Xian was defeated by Wang Kai and was easily killed. Now, even the ancestor of the Sky Pillar sect, a dignified divine emperor expert, was instantly killed without any strength. Sky Pillar sect, could it be a hidden sect? It must be. Looks like my chance has finally come. Haha, dominating the eastern wilderness, and even the 8th wilderness is just around the corner. Lu Tian swallowed his saliva and laughed secretly with excitement in his eyes. He immediately moved and went straight for Wang Kai in the void. God! Isn't that the gatekeeper disciple, Lu Tian? What is he going to do? Could it be that he wants to avenge the sect master and ancestor? Does he not want to live anymore? Many elders and disciples stared at Lu Tian's figure in shock. Their hearts were filled with admiration for his courage. There were even many disciples and elders who were moved by his courage. Their eyes were red as they also wanted to fight to the death with Wang Kai. However, the next scene made everyone completely dumbfounded. Grand Elder Lu Tian of the Sky Pillar sect greets the sect master. Lu Tian knelt on one knee in the void and greeted respectfully with cupped fists. F*CKU. Damn Lu Tian. F*CK. You made us admire you for nothing. The eyes of all the elders and disciples turned red as they couldn't help but curse. It was even to the extent that their anger towards Lu Tian surpassed their anger towards Wang Kai. From now on, the Sky Pillar sect is disbanded. Lu Tian, let's go. Oh, General Sun from the Heaven Do sect, let's go together with Ben Shao. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. With a flip of his hand, he took back the sky-reaching tower and hung it under his ear. Only now did General Sun and the others know that the tower belonged to Wang Kai. Sect Master of the Sky Pillar sect, Wang Kai, right? I am the General of the Heaven Do sect. Before General Sun could finish, Wang Kai waved his hand and interrupted him. Ben Shao knows. You don't need to repeat yourself. Also, don't think about using the Heaven Do sect to pressure Ben Shao. If Ben Shao wants to, he can destroy the Heaven Do sect at any time. Now, follow me obediently. Do you understand? You. General Sun's face stiffened. He could not imagine that Wang Kai was not afraid of the Heaven Do sect. Even Di Xian, the sect master of the Sky Pillar sect, would not dare to openly provoke and destroy the Heaven Do sect. It was one thing to oppose the Heaven Do sect, but it was also related to the survival of the Heaven Do sect. Wasn't he afraid? Slap. Suddenly, Lu Tian raised his hand and slapped down. Instantly, General Sun's body swayed, and scarlet-red veins appeared on his face. I told you to follow me obediently. Just do as I say. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Lu Tian glared at General Sun and threatened him. He was so excited that he could die. He was only in the Immortal Emperor realm, but he could slap a Divine Spirit realm expert. Chapter 401. Along the way, Lu Tian had a great time tormenting General Sun of the Heaven Do Mansion. Every time he thought about how he could beat up an expert of the Divine Spirit realm when he was just an immortal emperor, the impulse to attack became even more uncontrollable. Until now, General Sun had been beaten until he was fat and bruised. His mouth was crooked and his eyes were slanted. When he opened his mouth, one could see that his front teeth were all knocked out. His clothes were tattered and bruises could be seen everywhere. It was a horrible sight. Bang! With his hands behind his back, Lu Tian shook his shoulders and arms, twisting his hip. From time to time, he would kick a few times, causing General Sun's body to lean forward every time. There were a few times when he almost fell flat on his face. Sect Leader Wang, where are we going? General Sun asked in a hoarse voice. As he spoke, his mouth, which was not covered by his front teeth, was trembling. His anger towards Lu Tian had reached its peak. If Wang Kai had not been here, he would have already pulled out Lu Tian's tendons and pulled out his bones. Slap! However, before Wang Kai could respond, General Sun's head was once again slapped by Lu Tian, causing him to almost fall from the sky. You talk too much nonsense. Just follow behind me obediently. Sect Master is such an awesome person, does he still have to report his whereabouts to you? Lu Tian glared at him fiercely, looking like a fox exploiting the tiger's might. After being humiliated like this, General Sun even wanted to die. However, he could not do anything about it. If he could not vent his anger, he would not die in vain. Little brat, you're actually hiding here? Wang Kai suddenly stopped. His face darkened as he stared unkindly at a village below. Seeing this, Lu Tian and General Sun were both startled. Before they could ask, they saw Wang Kai had already floated down. Hurry up and follow me, Lu Tian coldly snorted. His foot caught General Sun off guard and kicked him in the buttocks, causing General Sun to fall from the sky. Bang! In an extremely simple and crude courtyard, Wang Kai stood in the middle of the courtyard with his hands behind his back. General Sun was lying on the ground with Lu Tian on his back. Come out. Do you need Ben Shao to personally invite you? Wang Kai's face was ashen as he coldly snorted. His eyes stared at the wooden house as he clenched his fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. Is the leader's enemy here? Lu Tian thought in surprise. He immediately stood up and stared at the wooden hut cautiously. On the other hand, General Sun could not wait for an expert who could stand shoulder to shoulder with Wang Kai to appear. At that time, he would be able to take the opportunity to escape. Patter! Under Lu Tian's and General Sun's gazes, the wooden door of the wooden house slowly opened. A white-clothed man walked out from within, causing their eyes to bulge abruptly. Wang Kai! Sect Leader Wang? This, General Sun and Lu Tian cried out in surprise. The man who walked out looked exactly the same as Wang Kai. Even his mannerisms and actions seemed to be carved from the same mold. Why are you only here now? It had been more than 2 years. Do you know how unhappy my life is in Bahuang? F***ku. Give me back my youth. The true spirit avatar cursed through gritted teeth. He immediately moved his feet and swung his fist at Wang Kai. Wang Kai's face darkened when he saw this. He immediately flipped his hand and slapped down, causing the true spirit avatar to fall to the ground. Then, he grabbed the true spirit avatar by the neck and sneered viciously, "Look at your miserable appearance. To think that you have been reduced to living in a village. You must have embarrassed Ben Shao, right?" "I have embarrassed him. I have embarrassed him greatly. Damn it. That bitch is too vicious. If I had known that she was a Dao realm expert, I would not have provoked her. Let's not talk about this for now. Quickly merge me back into my original body. The outside world is too terrifying. I don't want to come out no matter what," the true spirit avatar said sorrowfully. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard this. How could he not know what the true spirit avatar was thinking? As his avatar, he would definitely want to merge back into his original body. When he appeared in the future, he would possess the same cultivation level as his original body. Don't worry. Ben Shao won't let you out again. As soon as he finished speaking, the true spirit avatar's mouth twitched as Wang Kai merged back into his original body with a flip of his hand. When various memories appeared in his mind, Wang Kai's face instantly became even more livid. It turned out that it wasn't the true spirit avatar that took the initiative to activate the spatial formation to come to Ba Huang. It was Feng Tianan who didn't listen to his orders and took the opportunity to draw down the heavenly tribulation above the formation platform. Activating the spatial formation platform was naturally extremely easy for the immortal martial realm's heavenly tribulation. The final result was obvious. Even the true spirit avatar that wasn't immune to the spatial formation platform, Prince Jinduo, and the others were teleported to Ba Huang by the spatial formation platform. However, everyone had landed at a different location, and the true spirit avatar wasn't sure where the others had landed. As for the true spirit avatar, it went directly to the Eastern Wilderness, the Eastern Royal Domain of the Eastern Wilderness. Moreover, it coincidentally provoked the eldest princess of the Eastern Royal Domain, Dongfang Xian. What made Wang Kai even more speechless were other things. Dongfang Xian chased him all the way from the Eastern Royal Domain to the Heaven Reverse Domain. Along the way, they passed through tens of thousands of domains, but he still didn't forget to flirt with women. The women he provoked were all from prestigious families. He didn't even let go of the female disciples of the major factions below the 5th rank. Now, the true spirit avatar was being chased by many powerful factions, but he could only hide in this small village and pass his days. According to his memories, he probably wouldn't be able to hide here for long. You're quite good at escaping, but the key is you didn't even take advantage of her. Instead, you were chased by countless experts. You even got the title of Sex Fiend Wang Kai. F***CKU. Wang Kai said with a dark expression. If it wasn't for the fact that destroying the true spirit avatar would affect his cultivation, Wang Kai would really want to kill him. Even if you have the title of Sex Fiend Wang Kai, you still have to live up to it, right? In this way, it wouldn't be a loss. In the end, you didn't even take advantage of those female disciples. The more Wang Kai thought about it, the angrier he got. However, he was able to understand from his memories that the true spirit avatar was only at the divine ability realm. It was utterly impossible for him to go against the descendants of those prestigious families. Moreover, he was being chased by Dongfang Xian, so it was normal that he didn't have the time to develop feelings for her. However, he just didn't take advantage of the title of Sex Fiend Wang Kai. Now, he even had to wear the title of Sex Fiend as he roamed the world. It was truly infuriating. However, Wang Kai had obtained some good information from the true spirit avatar's 2 years of escape. For example, there were 7 great Tao realms above the God Emperor realm. The Tao Profound realm, Tao Lord realm, Tao King realm, Tao Emperor realm, Tao Emperor realm, Tao Saint realm, and Tao God realm. The eldest princess of the Eastern Imperial Court, Dongfang Xian? TSK. The Tao God realm and the female disciples of those great powers have many Tao realm experts as well. True spirit avatar, you've really caused a great deal of trouble for Ben Shao. Wang Kai grunted with a dark expression. When Lu Tian and General Sun heard what Wang Kai said, they were terrified to the point of being stunned on the spot. Chapter 402. Sect Master, what realm are you at? Lu Tian swallowed his saliva and asked with an unnatural expression. When he saw Wang Kai's terrified expression, he immediately felt like he had boarded a pirate ship. Lu Tian was only at the Immortal Emperor realm, so it was natural that he didn't know Wang Kai's realm. However, it didn't mean that General Sun didn't know. Through the battle between Wang Kai and the Sky Pillar Sect Master and Ancestor, General Sun naturally knew of Wang Kai's realm. However, what truly surprised him wasn't the realm, but, so that perverted bastard Wang Kai was actually your clone. No wonder I found you very familiar at first. Even your name is so familiar. You're only at the Immortal Emperor realm. Although I don't know why your clone is so weak, you still have to consider it. If you let me go now. Bang! Plop! Suddenly, Wang Kai, who was already filled with anger, kicked out fiercely. Immediately, General Sun was kicked to the ground and rolled non-stop, as if he was skipping on water. So he's only at the Immortal Emperor realm. Then the Dao realm Grand Princess Dongfang and the others. Lu Tian was instantly dumbfounded. The uneasiness in his heart became even stronger. Seeing this, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. He kicked Lu Tian rather speechlessly and flipped him over. Then, he put his hands behind his back and said with a faint smile, "Who said that Ben Shao is only at the Immortal Emperor realm? Haha, it's not that Ben Shao is boasting, but even the Dao God realm can't take one move from Ben Shao." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 100,000 experience. Bragging points, 100 points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 9th grade Immortal Emperor realm. As long as that Dao God realm Dongfang Xian dares to come, Ben Shao can suppress her with one hand, strip her naked, hang her on a tree, and give her a good beating. There's nothing to be afraid of. Wang Kai shrugged and continued to smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 100,000 experience. Bragging points, 100 points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 1st grade Dao Profound Realm. Host, Wang Kai. Occupation, Martial Artist, Talisman Cultivator, Array Cultivator. Secondary Occupation, Alchemist Realm, 1st grade Dao Profound Dao Technique, Dao of Destiny, Pill Cannon, Spirit Cannon. Divine Ability, Luck Deprivation Technique. Equipment, Tower of Babel, 9 Dragon Cauldron, God Punishing Brush, 10,000 Formation Restriction Map. Bloodline, Level 10. Bragging points, 4530 experience. 300,002,000,000. As the system message appeared in front of his eyes, Wang Kai, who originally didn't care, suddenly narrowed his eyes. His face suddenly darkened as he gritted his teeth and thought. The experience actually increased from the original 100,000 to 200,000. This meant that he had to brag a little before he could break through to the next realm. The difficulty had increased once again. Wang Kai did not mind that the cultivation technique had turned into a Dao technique. From the memories of the true spirit clone, he knew that if he wanted to break through to the Dao realm, he had to condense the Dao he cultivated into a Dao art that belonged to him. As for the Dao realm, what they competed in was naturally the strength of their Dao, and also the level of their Dao art. To Wang Kai, any Dao was useless. After all, the Dao of bragging could instantly transform into any great Dao for him to use. Haha, a mere 100,000 experience increase is nothing much. To Ben Shao, it's neither painful nor itchy. It's just that the experience increase is still not enough. Otherwise, it might even be able to bring some difficulty to Ben Shao. Wang Kai's brows raised slightly as he smiled with a rather indifferent expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 100,000 experience. Bragging points, 100 points. Lu Tian stood up shakily and looked at Wang Kai with a dumbfounded face. After a long while, he asked probingly, "Sect Master, just what level is your realm at?" Swoosh. As soon as these words came out, Wang Kai's gaze immediately darkened. With his hands behind his back, he said indifferently, "Lu Tian, don't doubt Ben Shao's ability, and don't believe that there is anyone in the world who can be stronger than Ben Shao. You just have to always remember that Ben Shao is the most awesome person." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 100,000 experience. Bragging points, 100 points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 2nd stage of the Dao Profound Realm. Cough cough, yes. Sect Master, where are we going now? Lu Tian hurriedly nodded. He really wanted to despise and refute in his heart, but after all, He had joined the sky-defying sect, and still had to treat the sect master respectfully. Otherwise, what if he was really destroyed by Wang Kai in a rage? Moreover, it was also impossible to go back on his word and join the sky-defying sect now. He could only choose to believe in Wang Kai's words. "Where are we going?" Hearing this, Wang Kai slightly narrowed his eyes. He raised his hand and directly captured General Sun, who was lying on the ground thousands of meters away. He looked at him indifferently and said with a smile, "Your Heaven Do mansion seems to be very awesome. You actually helped Dongfang Xian to hunt down Ben Xiao's doppelganger? Don't you know that as long as Ben Xiao is willing, he can easily break up the 8 desolation? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 100,000 experience. Bragging points, 100 points. The corner of Lu Tian's mouth twitched when he heard this. He forcefully swallowed back his contemptuous words. He thought to himself, "No one knows if I can break the 8 desolates apart. However, this bragging skill might really break the 8 desolates apart." King, cough cough. Sect leader Wang, there is something you don't know. It's not the Heaven Do mansion that wants to hunt you down. It's the order of Princess Dongfang Xian. In the eastern wilderness, in thousands of domains, every force wants to take your life. General Sun hurriedly explained in a panic. He had long been afraid of Wang Kai. When he met Wang Kai and Lu Tian, he couldn't rest for even a moment. Other than being beaten up, he was still beaten up. Wang Kai glanced at him indifferently and sneered. "You don't need to act tough in front of Ben Xiao. That bitch Dongfang Xian is the Princess Royal of the Eastern Royal Court, the strongest force in the Eastern Wilderness. You want to curry favor with her to hunt down Ben Xiao's doppelganger, right?" No, General Sun was so frightened that cold sweat broke out on his forehead. His heart was beating violently. He really didn't know how to deal with someone like Wang Kai, who was so blunt and straightforward. "No need to quibble. Tell me, where is the Taoist god's relic that you mentioned to Di Xian? Ben Xiao wants that relic. If the Heaven Do mansion dares to go there, be prepared to be scapegoats for Ben Xiao to use." Wang Kai snorted with his hands behind his back and an unfriendly look in his eyes. Although his doppelganger had caused a lot of trouble, Wang Kai really couldn't swallow the resentment of being hunted down. If he met him, he would naturally beat him up to clear his name. Sect leader, we really have to cough. Lu Tian was scared witless. On the one hand, he couldn't figure out Wang Kai's true realm. On the other hand, he didn't dare to probe too much. It could be said that he was extremely miserable. Wang Kai nodded slightly when he heard this. He raised his hand and flicked his clothes with his fingers. He smiled indifferently and said, "Of course we have to go. Ben Xiao wants to let those weaklings know that Ben Xiao's doppelganger isn't running for his life because he's afraid of death, but because he doesn't want to cause too much killing. If they don't know what's good for them, I don't mind killing a few to wake them up." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 3rd stage of the Tao Profound Realm. Chapter 403. Golden Sea of Sand in the Heaven Reverse Domain. The golden desert stretched as far as the eye could see, and its height was uneven. As the wind blew past, a corner of the white bones buried in the desert was gradually revealed. There were human bones, and there were also demon bones. Wang Kai and Lu Tian, under the guidance of General Sun, stepped into the air and landed on the desert. Looking at the endless golden desert, they could not help but recall the divine martial dynasty in Fanzhou. The divine martial dynasty's territory was also covered in such a desert. However, the golden sea of sand here looked even more desolate and gave people a sense of loneliness and desolation, especially when he saw the white bones buried in the sand. As the wind eroded the sand, holes and cracks appeared on the bones. Is the so-called Tao God's relic here? Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and stepped steadily on the golden sand, as if he was strolling in his own garden. As for Lu Tian, even though he was at the immortal emperor realm, his feet would always sink into the sand when he felt uncomfortable. Even though General Sun was not affected by the golden sand, after seeing Wang Kai's relaxed appearance, he could not help but ask in surprise, "Does sect leader Wang come here often?" Bang! Wang Kai did not respond. Instead, he raised his hand and slapped General Sun into the sand. He said indifferently, "Don't talk so much nonsense. This is the first time Benchao has come here. He can walk on the sand so easily because Benchao has perfect control over his strength. Well, at least no one in the 8 barren lands can compare to him." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Cough 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 cough. General Sun crawled up with a face full of yellow sand. He patted the sand off his body and swallowed a lot of it. When he heard this, he immediately smiled bitterly and said, "Sect leader Wang, please don't joke with me. This golden sea of sand is not an ordinary place. Without reaching the Tao realm, one cannot move freely on it. Of course, if one is used to the desert, one can do the same as a Tao realm expert." Tao realm? Used to the desert? Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this. Unfortunately, he seemed to have achieved both of these methods to move freely in the golden sea of sand. "Where are the ruins of the Tao God?" Wang Kai asked calmly. His eyes scanned the sea of golden sand. After looking left and right, his eyes suddenly narrowed. At the place where Wang Kai was looking, there was a man and a woman lying on the ground. Only their eyes could be seen, and no matter how the sand and wind blew, they couldn't even blink. "Cousin, why do I feel like that kid has discovered us?" the man with big eyes on the left asked in surprise. The woman on the right replied with a voice transmission, "Cousin, don't talk nonsense. He must have looked in our direction by coincidence. That's not right. That kid is clearly looking into our eyes." The man transmitted his voice in confusion. "Cousin, are you stupid? In the future, eat less of those stupid lizard heads. You've eaten your own head until it's stupid. That kid is so young, so how could he be stronger than us?" The woman snorted in disdain. The man's eyes didn't move when he heard this, and he transmitted his voice as if he suddenly understood. "Cousin is right. We're all spiritual pedestal tier elites who grew up in the golden sea of sand. In terms of concealment, even those of the Tao realm would find it difficult to discover us. It's impossible for them to discover us." But just as he finished speaking, he heard the woman exclaim in disbelief, "Cousin, you seem to have guessed correctly. That kid is walking towards us. Oh heavens, he's been staring at us. He's discovered us as expected?" The man's heart instantly jumped violently. He glared at Wang Kai, who was walking over, and his eyes especially seemed to be meeting his own. "Sect Master Wang, 300 miles ahead of here is where the ruins of the Tao God are. It's faster for us to walk on air," General Sun said respectfully as he followed behind. He wanted to reach the ruins as soon as possible so that he could take the opportunity to escape. As for relying on the mansion of Heaven Do to deal with Wang Kai, General Sun didn't even think about it. The mansion of Heaven Do was no match for Wang Kai, who was in the Emperor God realm, unless the ruler of Heaven Do could do it himself. However, because the mansion of Heaven Do wanted to monopolize the ruins, the ruler of Heaven Do didn't know about the ruins at all. If the mansion of Heaven Do ran into Wang Kai later, he would regret his idea of monopolizing the ruins, wouldn't he? General Sun didn't know why, but he felt a little excited when he thought of this. It was as if it was a good thing to make the mansion of Heaven Do suffer a loss. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and ignored General Sunday. Instead, he looked at the two people hiding in the desert in a mocking manner. When he was about 100 meters away from the hiding place, he stopped abruptly. Sect Master, let's walk on air. This damn desert is too difficult to walk on. Lu Tian mumbled with a gloomy face. He couldn't control his feet every time. Or rather, even if he could control his feet, he couldn't do anything about the golden sea of sand. Until now, Lu Tian's legs were still buried deep in the desert. If he didn't move, he could be buried in the sand at any time. Lu Tian, I'm giving you the first order. Go up 100 meters and take a piss. Well, I'll show you the exact location. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sent him a message with a smile. Lu Tian was taken aback by the message. He glanced at Wang Kai with fear and then at the place 100 meters away. He couldn't help but ask tentatively, Sect Master, what do you want to do? Cut the crap. Just go. I'm here. What are you afraid of? Wang Kai shrugged and sent him a message impatiently. Lu Tian swallowed a mouthful of saliva when he heard that. He moved his feet and sent a voice transmission nervously, Sect Master, rumor has it that there are many desert bandits in this golden sea of sand. Have you discovered them? Bandits? As expected, they were up to no good. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. He was very curious about what the two people were doing hiding in the desert. Judging from their eyes, they must have had a bad intention. I'm not sure if there are bandits, but I know very well that if you don't go now, you'll be sleeping in the desert forever even if the bandits don't show up. Wang Kai shrugged and sent him a message playfully. Whoosh. Rustle, rustle, rustle. As soon as he said that, Lu Tian was so frightened that he shuddered. He immediately lifted his feet and walked forward unsteadily. Finally, under Wang Kai's instructions, Lu Tian stood directly in front of the two people who were hiding in the desert. Go ahead. Wang Kai couldn't help but send him a message with a mischievous smile. Lu Tian swallowed his saliva and quickly unbuttoned his pants. He was about to pee in the desert under his feet, however. Before he could pee, the desert under his feet suddenly flipped over. Along with it came a young man and a young woman whose faces were filled with anger. Bastard! Lu Tian was so frightened that his face turned pale. He couldn't help but spit out the water. Chapter 404. Bastard! The red-clothed lady's face turned red as she cried out. She quickly pulled the yellow-clothed man to her front, causing the yellow water to spray all over his body. Phew! Awesome, awesome, ha ha! Lu Tian's body trembled as he laughed loudly. The scattered yellow water splashed all over the man's face. Such a scene, such a touch, immediately caused the yellow-clothed man's face to become extremely distorted. Especially when he felt the water dripping on his face, ha ha! Wang Kai also could not help but laugh loudly on the spot. He held his stomach with one hand and pointed at the man whose clothes were soaked and whose face was covered with urine. It could be said that his laughter was earth-shattering. General Sun, who was standing at the side, was stunned. The corners of his mouth twitched violently. He wanted to laugh but could not. The fear in his heart grew. He was afraid that following the sect leader of the Heaven sect would lead to some miserable things. Bastard! Bastard! Damn you, give me your life! The yellow-clothed man sternly scolded. The veins on his distorted face bulged. He flipped his hand and took out a golden saber. He aimed it at Lu Tian's head and slashed it. Sensing the pressure of the Divine Realm expert, Lu Tian was so frightened that his face turned pale. He quickly pulled up his pants and turned around shouting, Sect leader, save me! Buzz! Clank! Bang! Suddenly, Wang Kai's figure appeared in a flash. He raised his hand and raised two fingers. He easily caught the golden saber between his fingers. Then, with a gentle push, the yellow-clothed man's body was sent flying and violently smashed into the desert. Sect leader, you can't trick me like this in the future. I still want to dominate the eastern wasteland and even the 8 wastelands. How can I lose my life because of a pool of urine? Lu Tian's body trembled nonstop. He quickly put on his pants and patted his chest with lingering fear. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He could not help but pat Lu Tian's shoulder and said with a faint smile, "As the Grand Elder of the Heaven Sect, if you don't have such courage, how can you dominate the Eastern Wasteland? You still need to learn more in the future." Learn more? Learning how to pee and prank people? Although the purpose of these 2 bandits was not pure, they could not use themselves to test the waters. Wasn't that the same as risking their lives? Lu Tian was rather speechless in his heart. He really wanted to open his mouth and refute, but when he thought of the thrilling scene just now, he was instantly scared to the point of choking back his words. He was afraid that Wang Kai would make him do something even more shameful. "Bastard! Which power are you from? How dare you come to the golden sea of sand and injure my cousin? Do you know that we are the Yellow Wind Bandits of the Yellow Sand Stronghold?" The red-clothed woman scolded in a delicate voice. She ran to the yellow-clothed man and wanted to help him up. However, when she saw his urine-soaked clothes, she frowned and stood to the side in disgust. This scene caused the yellow-clothed man to become even more furious. He tightly clutched his chest as he crawled up with blood at the corner of his mouth. He coldly swept a glance at Lu Tian, before looking at Wang Kai and coldly saying, "From the looks of it, your cultivation level should not be weaker than the Divine Spirit stage, right? But don't be so arrogant. The head of the Yellow Sand Stronghold is at the Divine Emperor stage. If you are smart, quickly hand over the divine stones and supreme weapons that you brought. After you leave all the treasures behind, I will let you leave safely." Divine Emperor stage? Divine stones? Still want to rob? Wang Kai looked at them playfully. Before he spoke, he heard General Sun's voice transmission. "Sect Leader Wang, the Yellow Sand Stronghold is the #1 power in the Golden Sea of Sand. This time, they will also have a share in the Tao God's relic." The Yellow Sand Stronghold also wants to go to the Tao God's relic? When Wang Kai heard this, he immediately raised his eyebrows and shrugged his shoulders. His expression was rather playful as he smiled and said, "Oh, an expert at the Divine Emperor stage. Ben Shao is so scared. Since the Yellow Sand Stronghold is so awesome, the 2 of you can bring us over to have a look." "Hee, you want to go?" The yellow-clothed man sneered and his face was filled with disdain. The red-clothed woman looked at Wang Kai as if she was an idiot. He knew that he was no match for them, yet he still wanted to go. What was the difference between him and a fool? When General Sun and Lu Tian saw this, they could not help but look at each other. Their eyes were filled with sorrow as they shook their heads and sighed. The Yellow Sand Stronghold, a grade 7 power. I am afraid that you will end up like the Sky-Bearing sect. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders casually. With his hands behind his back, he smiled faintly and said, "That's right. Ben Shao does want to go to the Yellow Sand Stronghold to have a look. Lead the way. Looking at you, you should be a disciple of a big power, right? A flower that grows in a greenhouse, a rash person who has just entered the world. You are really courting death." The yellow-clothed man and the red-clothed woman looked at each other and sneered sarcastically. Walala bang! As soon as the yellow-clothed man finished speaking, he raised his hand and waved. Under the desert, the skeleton of a demonic beast lizard that was the size of a house appeared. On the back of the skeleton there was a seat carved out. "Since you want to die, follow us," the yellow-clothed man sneered. Whoosh! Whoosh! Immediately, the yellow-clothed man and the woman looked at each other and nodded. Together, they leaped onto the lizard skeleton. However, they had just sat down when a sudden gust of wind swept them down. "Who do you think you are? How dare you let Ben Shao follow behind you? Why are you sitting? Get lost and go pull the cart." Wang Kai snorted coldly with a disdainful expression. As he spoke, his body had already sat on the seat of the lizard skeleton. Sha sha sha, pay. Pay pay pay. The woman flipped over and stood up from the sand. She opened her red lips and continuously spat out sand. In particular, after hearing Wang Kai's words, she was so angry that her delicate body trembled non-stop. Bang! The yellow-clothed man was in an even worse state. He was just about to stand up when he was sent flying by Lu Tian's kick. Sect leader has ordered you to go pull the cart. Why are you still dawdling here? Lu Tian swung his arms and snorted in an extremely arrogant manner. After speaking, he also sat on the back of the skeleton. The woman was so angry that her beautiful eyes were filled with tears. Her rather pretty face was filled with grievance. She tightly pursed her lips, as if she would burst into tears in the next moment. What about you? There are 360 professions, and each profession has its own master. Instead of doing a good job, you chose to be a robber. Get lost and pull the cart at once. If you are slow or bumpy, don't blame Benshao for being merciless. Wang Kai snorted disdainfully. With a flip of his hand, waves of pressure swept out. Immediately, the woman and the yellow-clothed man were swept to the front of the skeleton. Seeing this, Lu Tian dryly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He rubbed his hands and softly said, "Sect leader, shouldn't we show some tenderness to the fairer sex? Does she smell good? Is she a jade? Is there any jade that is a robber? The path that she chose has encountered a tough obstacle. That is a trap of her own making. What is even more hateful is that she actually dares to have designs on Benshao. If you really can't bear it, you can go down and pull the cart with her. Who knows, she might really fall in love with you." Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and said with a playful smile, "Bastard! Who would fall in love with such a despicable, shameless lecher?" The woman in red cursed in a delicate voice. She glared at Lu Tian with disdain. Especially when she recalled the scene just now, her pretty face turned red, and she became even angrier. Lu Tian's expression stiffened when he heard this. He snorted unhappily and immediately waved his arms. He shouted loudly, "What nonsense are you talking about? Bitch, hurry up and pull the cart. If you don't pull it, be careful that your Uncle Lu will strip you naked to pull the cart. Oh right, that whatever general son, you should also go to the front and pull the cart with them. As the strongest force in a region, instead of doing good things, you actually did bad things. How can a benevolent and kind person like Benshao tolerate it?" Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said with a rather proud smile, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 100,000 experience. Bragging value 100 points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through the realm and reaching the 4th stage of the Tao Profound Realm." General Sun smiled bitterly when he heard this. Even though there was a myriad of anger in his heart, he had no choice but to endure it. Who asked his strength to be inferior to others? Chapter 405. Withered Wood Lion Sea. Wang Kai and the rest traveled swiftly, traversing several hundred miles. As black withered trees came into view, everyone's footsteps involuntarily came to a halt. Everyone had nervous expressions, and their movements were extremely light, causing their speed to become slower and slower. It was as if they were thieves. Even the yellow sand stockade master, who was a divine emperor, was on his guard. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He glanced at the sea of sand, which was covered with black withered wood. He sensed that there were many powerful auras. There were more than 10,000 of them. However, the levels of those auras should be between the Divine Path Realm and the Divine Spirit Realm. As for the Divine Emperors that were a little higher, they were extremely rare, and there were only a dozen of them. Are those lion beasts? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. Using his soul perception, he discovered that there were many yellow lion beasts standing 100 miles ahead of him. Their fur was like golden sand, and they had long black tails. Their claws were black, and they were shining with sharp black light. The lion beasts had human bodies, and they were standing in groups of 3 to 5. Sect Master, it's the territory of the Sand Sea Lions. There are more than a dozen divine Emperor Realm Lions, and there is an Emperor God Lion King. Should we take a detour? The Yellow Sand Stockade Master asked in a low voice. There is an Emperor God Lion King? Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. He couldn't help but spread out his spirit to investigate carefully, but in the end, he didn't find the so-called Lion God Emperor. There are more than a dozen divine Emperor Realm Lion Beasts. Why didn't Ben Shao find the Emperor God Lion Beast? Wang Kai asked with a strange expression. Everyone was stunned when they heard this, and they also looked at Wang Kai strangely. Sect Master, did you scan the area with your spiritual soul? The Yellow Sand Stockade Master asked with an ugly expression. Then according to you, Ben Shao's ability is inferior to that group of lion demons? Wang Kai shrugged and pretended to be displeased as he snorted. The Yellow Sand Stockade Master should be very clear about his cultivation level. Since that was the case, why did he need to be so sneaky? Could it be that the so-called Mad Lion was really that powerful? Sect Master, to be honest, with your martial arts realm, you do not fear the pride of Berserk Lions, but we. The Yellow Sand Stronghold Master smiled bitterly. Everyone had a bitter expression on their faces, but it was too late to say anything now. Since Wang Kai had used his divine soul to spy on Mad Lion, he must have alerted the God Emperor level Lion King. Ao! Roar! As expected, a furious roar rang out. Following that, over 10,000 lion demons roared at the sky. They swayed their bodies and ran over like humans. Emperor God level. Why did it avoid Ben Shao's divine soul spying just now? Wang Kai frowned suddenly. The level of aura that was revealed by the first roar was definitely at the Emperor God level. But just now, he did not discover it. Moreover, it was only revealed for a moment. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared again. There was no trace at all. The Yellow Sand Stockade Master shook his head and smiled bitterly. If not for Wang Kai's strength being too strong, he really wanted to beat him to the ground and punish him severely. Sect Master, within this withered wood lion sea, everything is under the control of the Lion King at the God Emperor level. The surrounding withered wood can block Sect Master's divine soul from prying. Of course, only the Lion King can use it. Even if it's a Dao Profound Realm expert, within the withered wood lion sea, they would also be unable to do anything to the Lion King, Yellow Sand Stronghold's chief said with a bitter smile. Caused by withered wood? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He couldn't help but wave his hand and split the dead tree into 2 halves. Holding one of the halves in his hand, he looked at it over and over again, but he still couldn't figure out what it was. Formation. Boy, if you have cultivated the way of beast controlling, you can take these lion demons for your own use. Even if your strength is a little weaker, the number is enough to make up for the lack of strength. Dominating a region is also not a problem, Cat Lord said with a smile while stroking his long beard in the heavenly reaching tower. So it was a formation restriction? A formation with withered wood. He did not expect that even lion demons knew how to set up a formation. The corners of Wang Kai's mouth twitched. He flipped his hand and threw the dead wood into the desert. Then, he smiled faintly and said, "This young master was already the founder of the way of beast control 100,000 years ago. It's too easy for a mere lion demon to control it." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 100,000 experience, 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully cultivating the way of beast controlling. Immediately, Wang Kai opened the system store again and scanned through the magical powers and technique. Finally, he urged his mind and said with a smile, "Cultivate the soul-controlling art of 10,000 beasts." Congratulations to the host for successfully cultivating the magical power, soul-controlling art of 10,000 beasts. 300 bragging points have been consumed. Lowly human race, if you want to pass through the sea of withered wood lions, you have to tuck your tail between your legs. Don't you know this rule? Rumble, rumble. The tens of thousands of golden-haired lions appeared together. As far as the eye could see, they were all lion heads with their mouths wide open and blood-red eyes. With such a large number of lions gathered together, it was indeed a bit frightening. If others pass by here, they may secretly avoid you. However, Ben Shao, unfortunately, needs you to take the initiative to kneel down and greet him. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled coldly. Roar, roar, roar. Such words immediately caused the lions to roar angrily. Immediately, they shook their bodies and took large strides to attack. God! This! Oh no! With such a large number, how can we fight against them? Everyone's backs were drenched in cold sweat. They wanted to turn around and run away. However, they knew very well that even if they ran away, they could not escape. Over 10,000 lions, all of whom were at the divine realm. Wouldn't it be easy for them to chase and kill hundreds of people? Moreover, there was still the Emperor God Lion King who had not appeared yet. Even Lu Tian was trembling at this moment. He swallowed his saliva crazily and turned around. He ran behind Wang Kai and said dryly, "Sect Master, it's time to show your mighty figure." The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he heard this. He grabbed Lu Tian in disgust and threw him in the direction of the berserk lions amidst Lu Tian's crazy screams. F***CK. Sect Master, you can't play with me like this. I still want to dominate the eastern wilderness and even the 8 wilderness. Lu Tian spun in the air and shouted. If he had not peed before, he would have definitely peed at this moment. Divine power, soul-controlling art of 10,000 beasts. Suddenly, Wang Kai's body flashed and came in front of the lions. He stood in the air and pressed his hand forward. Buzz! Tens of thousands of black chains flew out from Wang Kai's palm and wrapped around the necks of over 10,000 lions. Instantly, their attacking bodies were frozen on the spot. Emperor God Lion King, if you still don't appear, I will destroy the array of withered trees here. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled mockingly. Then, he pulled his arm back abruptly. Plop! Rumble! In an instant, under the pull of the black chains, over 10,000 berserk lions were all pulled onto the desert. Such a scene instantly made everyone's eyes open wide, and they were extremely shocked. They had never thought that Wang Kai had cultivated the beast-controlling divine power. Chapter 406. Heavens, why is he so powerful? Just what kind of character did I provoke for the Yellow Sand stronghold? Could he be a devil? Hong Yu and Huang Si were both dumbfounded. Their minds were blank and despair spread in their hearts. So much so that many of those yellow-winged bandits glared at them angrily. As Tao Profound Realm powerhouses, it was already shocking enough. Yet, it just had to be a powerhouse who cultivated the Tao of beast controlling. If he really controlled the wild lion, ruling the entire Heaven Reverse region was nothing difficult. At that time, how would they break away from the Heaven Reverse sect? Even if the Heaven Reverse region lord came, it would be too late, right? Moreover, Wang Kai was similarly in the Tao Profound Realm. It was still unknown who was stronger between him and the Heaven Reverse region lord. Lowly human, what do you want? Roar, roar. Suddenly, the desert rolled up. A 7 to 8 meter tall golden-furred wild lion stood up from under the sand. It bent over and stared with blood-red eyes, baring its fangs and clenching its claws as it looked down at Wang Kai. Those wild lions that were bound by the divine ability all let out low mournful cries when they saw the appearance of the Lion King. They wanted to struggle up, but they could not move at all. Very simple. Come and be the guardian divine beast of the Heaven Reverse sect. Follow this sect master to flatten the eastern wilderness, smash the 8 desolates, and awe the world," Wang Kai said with a rather proud smile. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Obtained 100,000 experience. Bragging points 100. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th grade Tao Profound Realm." Swoosh. The moment these words came out, everyone was stunned. Although it was somewhat hot-blooded, thinking about such bragging words, it was really courting death. "If you can defeat this king with your own strength." Before the Lion King finished speaking, he was interrupted by Wang Kai with a wave of his hand. He smiled faintly and said, "Don't think that this sect master only knows the Tao of beast controlling. Come and attack." "That's right. Since he cultivates the Tao of beast controlling, why is there no demonic beast accompanying him? As a cultivator of the Tao of beast controlling, he should not have any strength." "That's right. Cultivators of the Tao of beast controlling fight with the demonic beasts they control. But he clearly defeated us with martial arts." Heavens! Could it be that he was cultivating multiple Tao arts at the same time? That's a level that only the geniuses of the Eastern Royal Domain can reach. Everyone was shocked, especially the chief of Yellow Sand Stronghold. At this moment, he was already in a daze. Lu Tian gulped. In the Sky Pillar sect, Wang Kai had killed Di Xian and the old ancestor with the martial Tao. That couldn't be faked. Now, he was even using the Tao of beast taming. On the other hand, Hong Yu and Huang Si were much calmer, or rather, they were numb. In their hearts, other than despair, there was no other emotion. Wang Kai's abilities and mysteries were hard to fathom. No one knew how many tricks he had up his sleeves. Little did they know that Wang Kai's way of bragging could accommodate any way. Even if he was cultivating the way of beast control, he could still use martial arts to fight against his enemies. "Human, if you keep bluffing, you will die a horrible death." The Lion King opened his bloody mouth and spoke with a cold and hoarse voice. He waved his black claws and suddenly slashed down. Bang! Patter! However, Wang Kai didn't move at all. He only raised his hand and easily grasped the Lion King's claws in his hand. There wasn't even a trace of vibration. It was as if the Lion King's attack was just scratching an itch. "Now, do you know the gap between us? A peak Emperor God is indeed a very good guardian divine beast. Soul control art of 10,000 beast." Buzz. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, the Lion King looked in horror at the black chains that pierced through Wang Kai's hand and extended to the Lion King's entire body through his claws. Plop! When the Lion King was completely bound by the black chains, Wang Kai gently waved his hand and threw him into the desert, causing smoke and dust to rise. "Lu Tian, I'll leave them to you. Let's call them the Golden Lion Hall, the first-generation guardian divine beast of Discord sect." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled. Lu Tian's mouth twitched when he heard that. He looked at the wild lions lying on the ground and his heart was beating non-stop. He said with a head full of cold sweat, "Sect Master, are you sure you're not tricking me? Will they listen to you?" Lu Tian couldn't help but shiver when he thought about how Wang Kai had thrown him into the pride of wild lions. He didn't know if following him was an opportunity or a death wish. Perhaps it was both. However, he was walking down the path of death. As the Grand Elder of Discord sect, can you be a little braver? If you dare to embarrass me again, you will become their food." Wang Kai snorted with a dark face. Lu Tian's face turned ugly when he heard that. He thought to himself, if you hadn't tricked me so many times, would I be so afraid? Even Lu Tian, who was outspoken and often dissed others, was frightened by Wang Kai. Buzz. Wang Kai waved his hand and handed the source of the chain to Lu Tian. Lu Tian swallowed his saliva and took it carefully. When he pulled it tentatively, the 10,000 wild lions trembled. Even the Lion King, who was at the Emperor God level, was so frightened that his body was trembling. Rumor has it that once a demonic beast is controlled by a beast tamer, its life will be in the hands of a beast tamer. Lu Tian became bolder when he thought of that. He waved the black chains and scolded coldly, "All of you, stand up and line up. Follow me and the sect master to dominate the eastern wilderness." Swoosh, swoosh, roar, roar. In an instant, under the lead of the Lion King, the berserk lions split into teams and stood neatly. Their eyes were filled with fear as they looked at the pitch-black chains. They knew very well that once the chains were broken, they would be doomed to die. "Where is the Golden Lion Hall Master?" Lu Tian put his hands on his waist and shouted arrogantly. Bang! The berserk lions blinked their blood-red eyes and looked at Lu Tian in confusion. "Shouldn't the Hall Master of the Golden Lion Hall be you?" However, in the end, when Lu Tian angrily glared at the Lion King finally reacted. He immediately stepped forward and shouted, "Here! My name is Lu Tian, and I am the first Grand Elder of the Discord sect. Today you will be called Gold One, and you will be the Golden Lion Hall Master. You will be under my control. Let's start counting off. From left to right with Gold One as the head. Count off." Lu Tian laughed and shouted again. 1. The Lion King Gold One shouted. 2. 3. 3 your ass. Bang. Suddenly, Wang Kai's face darkened. He flipped his hand and slapped Lu Tian, causing him to fall to the ground. He snorted fiercely, "If I let you continue to report like this, when will you be able to stop? Why aren't you getting up and hurrying along? Sect Master, you can't treat this elder like this. You have to give this elder enough face." Lu Tian was so angry that his whole body trembled. He somersaulted and got up, holding the chains and snorting with an unfriendly expression. However, as soon as the words came out of his mouth, Lu Tian regretted it. He quickly wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and looked at Wang Kai's playful eyes. He immediately swallowed his saliva and said dryly, Sect Master your ass? Only this time, don't do it again." Bang! Under Wang Kai's slap, Lu Tian immediately fell to the ground again. He clutched his chest and kept spitting out sand. When he got up, he kicked the Lion King Gold One and scolded sternly, "F***ck your ass, hurry up and follow me." "Yes, Elder Lu," the Lion King Gold One replied in a muffled voice. In his heart, he despised Lu Tian and was extremely angry. Anyone could see that Lu Tian was venting his anger on Gold One. Chapter 407. After stepping through the Sea of Lions, an oasis appeared before everyone's eyes. The oasis wasn't large, only a few miles wide. Green grass surrounded a clear river, and the reflection of the blue sky caused the river to turn blue. It rippled gently with the breeze. On the shore of the oasis, there were 3 forces stationed there. They surrounded the oasis from 3 corners, and each side had a few hundred godly realm experts. All of them sat cross-legged on the shore as they stared at the center of the river. There was a protruding golden tiger's head there. The golden tiger's head was extremely large, half the size of a house. It opened its mouth angrily, and there was a staircase in the middle of its 4 ghastly fangs. When one looked into the mouth of the tiger, it was pitch black below its throat. However, there was a silver chain that was extremely eye-catching. Moreover, the chain was swaying slightly from time to time. A white-haired old man said indifferently, "I wonder if the people who entered this time will be able to come out alive?" A young man in a golden robe stood beside him. When he heard that, he smiled indifferently and said, "Master, there's no need to worry. If those ants can't extend the chain further, then we can just recruit more soldiers. Eldest senior brother is right. There are countless ants in the Heaven Do region. Our Heaven Do Manor is a rank 7 faction. As long as we give those ants some benefits, they'll rush over." A blue-clothed young man smiled disdainfully. The many experts behind them also had mocking expressions on their faces when they heard this. The number of people who had entered the Tao God's relic had already reached 30,000. There were many weak people in the Heaven Do region. If there weren't enough, then there could be substitutes at any time. The white-haired old man said indifferently, I heard from General Sun that many people have recently sought refuge with the Sky Pillar sect. If they successfully become disciples of the Sky Pillar sect, then it'll be difficult for us to recruit more soldiers. When the white-haired old man said that, the golden-clothed young man's face turned cold. He sneered, a mere Sky Pillar sect. Once our Heaven Do Manor obtains the Tao God's relic, it'll be easy for us to dominate the Heaven Do region. At that time, the Sky Pillar sect can forget about surviving. The blue-clothed young man snorted coldly, They just want to seize the opportunity to enter the Tao God's relic. That sect Master Di Xian's Bullsh *T reputation is truly detestable. Rumble! Rumble! Suddenly, a series of violent sounds were heard, causing everyone to stand up and turn their heads to look. When they saw the huge berserk lions, they were scared to the point that their faces turned pale. Heavens! That was the Lion King. Why did it lead the pride of berserk lions here? Could it be that you also want a share of the loot? He spread out his hands and shook his head helplessly, saying, Manor Head, I have no choice. You. The mansion master looked at Wang Kai coldly and cupped his fists. May I know where you are from? I am from the mansion of Heaven Do. All right. Ben Shao knows that you are the mansion master of Heaven Do and that you have a region master of the profound Tao realm. So, you can take your men and get the hell out of here. Wang Kai waved his hand to interrupt the old man and said impatiently, How dare he do this when he knew? Who was he? The mansion master frowned and glanced at the tens of thousands of berserk lions behind Wang Kai, especially the Lion King. He knew that he could not defeat them. However, the relic of the Tao God was right in front of him. Should he give up? Thinking of this, the mansion master clenched his teeth and said, May I know where you are from? The region master belongs to the Eastern royal family. Bang! Plop! All of a sudden, Wang Kai turned over his hand and slapped. A strand of energy swept over. The mansion master was sent flying into the air. He somersaulted dozens of times in the air and then fell heavily into the desert. The Eastern royal family is nothing. In front of this sect master's sky-defying sect, they have to kowtow obediently. Even Dong Huang, when he sees this sect master, he has to respectfully say that this sect master has great fortune. Wang Kai shrugged and sneered with a rather arrogant expression. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have gained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the 6th level of the profound Tao realm. Whoosh! Such a scene and such words immediately caused everyone's faces to stiffen. All of them widened their eyes as they stared at Wang Kai in shock. They had seen arrogant people but never such an arrogant person. He had seen bragging, but he had never seen anyone who dared to mention Dong Huang's name. Chapter 408. And the Sky Fighting Sect, what kind of force was it? Why had he never heard of it? You are Wang Kai. Suddenly, the golden-robed young man from the mansion of Heaven Do widened his eyes and pointed at Wang Kai in shock. The blue-robed young man was even more shocked. He quickly took out a scroll and unrolled it. After comparing the two, he found that they were exactly the same. Both of them were in white and had delicate features. However, their smiles were a bit dissolute. At first glance, one could tell that they were not decent people. That's him. He is Wang Kai, the lecher who was chased by the princess of the East Royal Court. Lecher Wang Kai. Gosh, he really came to the Heaven Do domain. At this moment everyone's faces were also filled with shock. All of them widened their eyes. Their gazes were strange, but there were also flames of envy and jealousy flickering within. Regarding the name of sex thief Wang Kai, he was extremely clear about it. Although he had never seen him in person, he had long heard of his name. And it was the kind of irritating news they had heard. Putting the female disciples of the big forces aside, the princess of the East Royal Court, Dongfang Xian, alone was enough to make many young people jealous. They couldn't wait to torture Wang Kai to death. Lecher Wang Kai, do you want to die? Wang Kai's face suddenly darkened, especially when he saw the female cultivators among the strong cultivators. At this moment, they were all hugging their chests with frightened expressions. Wang Kai became even angrier. You, can you stop being so smug over there? Even if Ben Shao becomes a lecher, he won't choose trash like you. Wang Kai gnashed his teeth and snorted. The female cultivators who were pointed out by Wang Kai all glared at him with cold faces. One of the bolder ones even scolded, "Think about it? I won't serve you. Damn it." Hearing that, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. With a flip of his hand, he grabbed the woman and squeezed her neck. He squinted his eyes and asked with a smile, "What did you say just now?" The woman's delicate body trembled slightly. Her pretty face could be considered a pretty girl from a humble family. However, at this moment, her face was full of anger. Hearing that, she scolded without showing any weakness. "I said that even if you want to, I won't serve you." Good. Since you don't want to serve me, how about you serve the wild lion?" Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a playful smile, "Whoosh." As soon as he finished speaking, before Wang Kai could call out to him, Lu Tian tactfully pulled Wild Lion King Jin Yi to the side. "Hall Master Genie, as a reward for you, you can play with her as you wish." Lu Tian put his hands on his waist and laughed with a wink. You can't do this." The woman was finally scared out of her wits. Her delicate body trembled non-stop. Her eyes were filled with fear as she looked at the 7 to 8 meter tall Wild Lion King. In particular, the woman's eyes couldn't help but look at the lower body of the Wild Lion King. Although she didn't see anything, she was still scared out of her wits. It was as if she had thought of something terrible. Walala, under everyone's incredulous gazes, water flowed out from the woman's legs. Sect Master Wang, let this servant serve you. I really don't want to, patter. Seeing that, Wang Kai snorted in disdain. He flipped his hand and threw her into the desert. He raised his hand and fanned the wind as he said, "What kind of quality, what kind of character is this? She actually peed in front of everyone. Sect Master, Elder Lu, this subordinate really doesn't want to have anything to do with her. She's really too ugly. Her body is too weak." Lion King Jin Yi shook his head and said in a cold and hoarse voice, "Whoosh." Hearing that, Wang Kai's mouth twitched. Looking at the woman who had peed in fear, he waved his hand and said, "It's just a joke. Don't take it seriously." "Sect Master, they are scared away." "Ah." Lu Tian suddenly laughed out loud. Hearing that, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He looked at the other experts of the sect of Heaven Do who were leaving with gloomy faces. Wang Kai sneered and said, "F***CKU. How dare you call me a pervert in front of me? Now you want to leave? It's too late." Lu Tian, capture them all. Whoosh. Howl. Howl. Then, Lu Tian reached out his hand and pulled. The wild lions, which were bound by chains, shook their bodies and jumped around the experts of the sect of Heaven Do and the others, trapping all of them. "You, Sect Master Wang, this is the Taoist god's relic. We have chosen to let you have it. I hope you won't kill us all." The sect master of Heaven Do frowned and said coldly. He had wanted to threaten Wang Kai since he couldn't defeat him. However, he didn't expect that Wang Kai wouldn't even take the East Royal Court seriously. Now, he had to leave first. What was more, given Wang Kai's current situation, as long as he told eldest Princess Dongfang Xian about his whereabouts, someone would come to kill him. Let you have it? Are you joking with this sect master? This oasis was originally this sect master's backyard. As early as 10,000 years ago, this sect master had already taken it for his own use. Today, I just happened to come back to rest and enjoy the scenery. What does it have to do with you? Wang Kai snorted disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have gained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. You bang. Suddenly, Lu Tian dragged the Wild Lion King to the front of the sect master of Heaven Do and kicked him. The sect master of Heaven Do tumbled over. What are you talking about? Do you still have the right to negotiate with me? If you want to negotiate, you should talk to me first. Lu Tian's face was full of arrogance as he sneered. As he spoke, he hid behind the Lion King. You have gone too far. The sect master of Heaven Do was furious. Blue veins stood out on his forehead. He got up from the ground and stared at Lu Tian with his gloomy eyes. He wanted to skin Lu Tian alive. As the sect master of Heaven Do Prefecture and the leader of a 7th-rank force, he had never been treated like this before. Not only had he been humiliated and expelled by Wang Kai, but now, his subordinates had. What he didn't know was that Lu Tian was in a good mood. He suddenly felt that following Wang Kai wasn't a bad thing. At least, he could bully people like the sect master of Heaven Do at will. What do you mean by going too far? In order to obtain the inheritance within the Taoist god's relic, you did not hesitate to pretend to recruit soldiers and let the commoners and the weak enter the relic to die. Is such an evil act of righteousness? Since you say that this religion master is going too far, then this religion master will make this a reality. Wang Kai said with a cold smile. With that, Wang Kai jumped up and came to the sect master of Heaven Do. He reached out his hand and grabbed the sect master. Then, he threw the sect master into the entrance of the relic. No. Oh no. The sect master of Heaven Do's horrifying voice made the sect masters pale in fright. Some of them even fell to the ground in despair. Lu Tian, Jin Yi watched them. Let them enter the relic one by one and find the way for me, Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. Chapter 409. After that, under the coercion of Lu Tian and Gold One, all the experts of the Heaven Do Manor stepped into the tiger's mouth. Moreover, every single one of them very consciously picked up the silver chain and entered. Wang Kai was rather curious about this, and he couldn't help but narrow his eyes and ask with a smile, "What's that chain? Could it be that it's used to remember the route?" Lu Tian and Gold One shook their heads when they heard this. They naturally didn't understand all of this. However, General Sun sensibly took the initiative to explain. Sect Master Wang is right. Everyone who enters the ruins will grab this chain. Moreover, the chain can be divided into countless strands. Everyone has one, and they'll walk in different directions. If they're alive, then they'll pull the chain from time to let the outside world know. If they're dead, then the chain naturally won't move. Everyone has a chain in different directions? Could it be that there are many paths beneath the tiger's mouth? Wang Kai's brows raised, and his expression grew even more curious. He'd only been to Dragon Mountain in the immortal martial region, and it wasn't difficult at that time. However, it couldn't be compared to here. As the name implied, the Tao God Ruins was the peak of the Tao God Realm. The Tao Profound Realm, Tao Lord Realm, Tao King Realm, Tao Emperor Realm, Tao Saint Realm, and Tao God Realm. With Wang Kai's current cultivation in the martial Tao and his level 10 bloodline, he could only deal with Tao Lord Realm experts. As for Tao King Realm experts, he would definitely not be a match for them if he relied solely on the martial Tao. not to mention the ruins of the Tao God realm? The dangers within were obvious. Sect Master, are we going to enter the ruins as well? General Sun asked in a probing manner while a strand of urgency flashed swiftly through his eyes. If Wang Kai was able to enter the ruins, then he would definitely be able to leave Wang Kai. Even if he had to enter the ruins with Wang Kai, he could separate from Wang Kai under the choice of the countless paths. Wang Kai glanced indifferently at him when he heard this, and then he couldn't help but shake his head and chuckle. He naturally knew what General Sun was thinking, so he immediately shrugged and smiled indifferently. Lu Tian, Gold One, let's enter the ruins. General Sun will stay here and watch the entrance. Yes, Sect Master. Lu Tian and Gold One hurriedly replied. Such a scene immediately caused a hidden joy to appear in General Sun's eyes. If there was no need to enter the ruins, wouldn't that be wonderful? After Wang Kai entered the ruins, he would be able to leave safely. However, before they could taste the sweetness of this beautiful dream, they heard Lu Tian pull on the chains and grin as he said, "All of you stay here, and watch over General Sunday. Remember, don't let him escape." Ao ao! Roar! Over 10,000 ferocious lions roared in response. They formed into groups of 3 to 5 and surrounded General Sunday. With his cultivation at the divine spirit realm, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for him to escape. Sigh, I might as well enter the ruins and take a risk. Perhaps I might even be able to obtain some opportunities. General Sun shook his head bitterly and sighed with a smile. Then, Wang Kai led Lu Tian, Jin Yi, and the Yellow Wind Bandits of Yellow Sand Stronghold into the Tao God Relic. Following the web between the thumb and the index finger, when it reached the bottom, it was already close to 10,000 meters underground. What came into view was a huge stone wall. On the stone wall there were countless holes, each the size of a person. On each hole there was a silver chain hanging. Among them, more than half of the chains were no longer moving. This also proved that those who walked through these paths would definitely die in the holes. For the remaining thousands of holes, the chains were still moving from time to time. However, there were also chains that gradually fell into silence. When the Yellow Wind Bandits and the others saw this, their faces were filled with shock. Their gazes quickly swept across the various holes. In the end, they could not decide which path was the path to survival. It is said that there is only a slim chance of survival. In this place there are nearly 10,000 choices. How many paths to survival are there? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. Hearing this, Lu Tian rubbed his hands together. His eyes shone as he scanned the holes. He grinned and laughed softly. Sect Master, which path should I take? You must have made your choice, right? In Lu Tian's opinion, since Wang Kai dared to enter the relic, he must be confident. At the very least, he must have some tricks up his sleeve. Although they had only known each other for a short time, Lu Tian could see that Wang Kai's character was definitely the kind of person who did not want to be taken advantage of. If he was not confident, how could he come down? Little did he know that Wang Kai did not have any confidence at all. He dared to come down because he felt that it was very exciting. Moreover, even if he died, he could use the bloodline to revive. In this case, what was there to be afraid of? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He turned around and looked at him with a rather playful expression. He raised his hand and casually pointed at a hole. He said with a playful smile, "You take this path. It must be the path to survival." Really? Lu Tian's eyes suddenly flashed brightly. He looked at the hole he was pointing at. Just as he was about to tentatively walk over, he suddenly realized that the chain hanging there had fallen silent. It was moving from time to time, but now it was dead silent. This proved that the person in this hole was already dead. Swoosh! Lu Tian's face immediately turned pale. He was so frightened that he almost fell to the ground. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and complained, "Sect leader, I am the first-generation Grand Elder of Discord sect. You can't play with me like this. This scene caused the mouths of the many yellow-wind bandits to twitch violently. They exchanged glances with each other and finally clenched their teeth. They secretly hoped that the dead-end chains would completely disappear and reveal a path that could lead to a life. Wang Kai also had the same intention. He waited here like this until more than 2 hours later. He suddenly realized that the chains had all fallen silent. Not a single one of the chains hanging in the nearly 10,000 tunnels moved. This is all a dead end? Many yellow-wind bandits swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Their faces were pale and they were dumbfounded on the spot. Sect leader, we cough, why don't we leave first? Lu Tian said with a stiff smile. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard this. He had just released his spirit to investigate, but until now, he had yet to discover the end of the tunnel, nor had he discovered a single person. Even a corpse was nowhere to be found. This also proved that the tunnels did not allow the spirit to spy on them. Could it be that the person in the path to survival intentionally did not pull the chain? Wang Kai shrugged. He felt more and more excited. He immediately walked toward the hole in front of him with his hands behind his back. Lu Tian and the others tensed up when they saw this. Was Wang Kai really going to choose to enter? Wasn't that seeking his own death? Patter. When Wang Kai came to the hole, he did not ask Lu Tian and Gold One to follow him in. He also did not threaten the Yellow-Wind Bandit. Instead, he said indifferently, opportunity and danger coexist. If you don't fight, you are destined to be under others. I will not force anyone. Whether you live or die, it is up to fate. Sect leader, wait for me. Lu Tian and Gold One's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Gritting their teeth, they followed Wang Kai and stepped into the same tunnel. Seeing this, the Yellow-Wind Bandits were also conflicted. Did they really have to leave the relic of the Taoist god and give it up? If so, they would definitely attract the attention of the dominator of the Heaven Reverse region or even more powerful warriors. By then, they would not have the chance to enter. They might even be forced to explore the way by the powerful warriors who heard the news and came over. But if they entered, their lives would be unpredictable. Let's do it. If we leave the relic of the Taoist god, we don't even know if we can enter again. The Yellow Sand Bandit master clenched his teeth. His eyes were bloodshot as he followed Wang Kai into the tunnel. Many Yellow-Wind Bandits could not resist the temptation of greed. They followed him into the tunnel one after another. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.